Right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and oh my gosh, it is morning. Over here on the West Coast, it is 6:32. I woke up early for this one, guys. President Trump, in about a half hour, I'm still trying to drink my coffee to wake up here. In about a half hour, President Trump is getting up on the stage in Washington, D.C., maybe in the Oval Office. I'm not sure exactly where, but anyway. This morning, over here on the West Coast, it is 6:30. Whoa, you gotta be quiet, dude. President Trump is going to be giving a big announcement about Washington, D.C. here pretty soon. President Trump is probably going to be federalizing Washington, D.C. He's going to be giving a big announcement about this here in the next half hour. He's been talking about this and teasing about this over the last couple days. And today in a half hour, we are finally going to get the big news. So today we're going to do a little bit of a good morning wake up show. We're going live like 10 hours earlier than we normally do. So if you are here, man, you are crazy. You're an early riser. So I want to kind of break down what we are expecting to see today. There's a reason why we have gone live so early in the morning today. President Trump posted just really like an hour ago. He said on Truth Social, Washington, D.C. will be liberated today. Crime, savagery, filth, and scum will disappear. I will make our capital great again. The days of ruthlessly killing or hurting innocent people are over. I quickly fixed the border, 0 illegals in the last 3 months. Washington, D.C. is next. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So, like I said, now in about 25 minutes, we're going to hear from President Trump himself. I need to keep on sipping my coffee. I have my favorite Donald Trump mug I'm sipping out of this morning. Excuse me. I woke up at 5 in the morning today, so I'm trying to get going here. My brain is still booting up a little bit. Stephen Miller, he said just 30 minutes ago, Stephen Miller said, D.C. will be set free. Is what Stephen Miller had to say. Now, folks, we are live on both Rumble and on YouTube, so please make sure to subscribe and to like on both platforms. These days, we're doing a lot of Rumble streams, a lot of YouTube streams. We're streaming everywhere, so thank you guys very much for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe and to like everywhere. And once again, hey, listen, my brain is still booting up right now, so thank you guys for bearing with me. Now, this is what President Trump posted late last night on Truth Social as it regards to all of this. I want to read through this with you guys. This is probably going to shed some light onto this. The press conference on crime and the, quote, beautification of Washington, D.C. will be held tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 25 minutes from now, in the White House press briefing room. And it will not only involve the crime, murder, and death in our nation's capital, but it will also be about cleanliness and the general physical renovation and condition of our once beautiful and well-maintained capital. We are not going to allow people to spend $3.1 billion on fixing up a building like the Federal Reserve, which could have been done in a far more elegant and time-sensitive manner for just $50 to $100 million. The renovation would have actually been better, and we would have saved $3 billion traffic jams and never-ending construction. Trump has been very critical of the way that Jerome Powell has handled the renovation, as it's being called, of the Federal Reserve Building. The mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser, we're going to take a look at her in a minute, is a good person, oh wow, who has tried, but she has been given many chances and the crime numbers get worse and worse and worse, and the city only gets dirtier and less attractive. I'm surprised that he actually called her a good person. We're going to take a look at Muriel Bowser here in a minute. The American public is not going to put up with this any longer. Just like I took care of the border, where you had 0 illegals coming across in the last month from millions the year before, I will take care again of our cherished capital, and we will make it truly great again. And once again, everybody, thank you for tuning in on this lovely, very early Monday morning. Thank you, guys. Before the tents, the squalor, the filth, and the crime, it was the most beautiful capital in the world. It will soon be that way again. Thank you for your attention to this matter. See you tomorrow. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, 23 minutes from now. So this is Muriel Bowser. Here she is, this lovely, just lovely woman. Beautiful, really stunning. She's an American politician who has served as the current mayor of Washington, D.C. since 2015. She has been running the show for 10 years, and the city has gotten, by the way, how has it gotten? Worse. The city has gotten worse every single year for 10 years straight. It's gone downhill. She is a member, guess what party? Of the Democratic Party. She previously represented the 4th Ward as a member of the Council of D.C. from 2007 to 2015. So she has been in the D.C. leadership structure since 2007. She was on the Council of D.C. for, 8 years, and then she's been the mayor for 10 years. She's been invested, entrenched in D.C. for 17 years, and it has gotten worse. Her father was a DC-based public advocate. Okay, Bowser was born in Washington, D.C., grew up in D.C., so it's like, listen, you know, we have given these DC people a chance, and now we gotta do something else. This is not working. The plan is not working. You can't, is anybody here a Super Mario Brothers fan? I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she really loves the Super Mario movie, the one that came out a year ago. Her name is Bowser. In the Mario universe, Bowser is the bad guy. He's the evil guy. So, hey, listen, hey, I don't know. She's the evil villain of Washington, D.C., I guess. Maybe she's breathing fireballs or something. Okay, so this is something that is going to absolutely blow your mind. This is astounding. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. I'm sure some of you have been thinking, okay, but really, how bad is it? Really, when we're talking about Washington, D.C., really, though, Matt Morris TV, really, how bad is it? Well, D.C. is less safe than pretty much every third world war zone. So this is the homicide rate of Washington, D.C. over here out of, I'm pretty sure it's out of 1,000 people. It doesn't actually say, but that's normally how this goes. So out of every 1,000 people, there are 41 homicides per year in DC. That's, you think it's 1,000 or 100? I think it's got to be 1,000. Anyway, whatever it is. Anyway, the point is, it's higher. It's super high. It's off the charts high. This is Washington, D.C. over here on the left. This is Montevideo, Uruguay, Baghdad. This is Baghdad. The Washington, D.C. homicide rate is over 2 times more than Baghdad. Over 2 times more than Lagos, Nigeria. Almost 2 times more than Panama Canal. Bogota, Colombia. San Jose, Costa Rica. Yeah, now that I think about it, I have another sip of coffee. It's got to be out of 100,000. There's no way it's out of 1,000. There's no way. Not even Washington, D.C. is that bad. It's pretty bad, but it's not quite that bad. Mexico City, as you guys know, Mexico City is one of the most violent places in the world. Like, really, Mexico City is bad. I had a Spanish teacher in high school who got stabbed. He was from Mexico City. And when he was a young 20-something young man in Mexico City, he got stabbed at a stop sign when he was driving his car in Mexico City. My Spanish teacher in high school. Mexico City is bad. He had a scar on his leg. And Washington, D.C. is what? Like almost 4 times worse. It's worse than Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, Buenos Aires. So anyway, it's bad. It's really bad. So this whole leadership structure that they have had in D.C. is not working. So President Trump, we are expecting President Trump to come out here pretty soon and just completely tear down the system, and he's going to federalize it. What does that mean? In a way, you know, all the Democrats are freaking out. They're losing their mind. They're saying, oh my God, he wants to be He wants to be the dictator. This is the first step towards him becoming a dictator. First, he's gonna become the dictator of DC. Then he's gonna become the dictator of the country. Then he's going to become the dictator of the universe. He's gonna invade. He's gonna invade everybody. I don't know. He's gonna be dictator soon. You know, listen. You know what? Listen. Hey, you know what? Who cares if if Trump wants to be dictator of DC? Given how bad it is, given how terrible it is. Listen. Would you rather have Mayor Muriel Bowser or dictator Trump in Washington D.C. at this point? When Washington, D.C. is 3 times more violent than Mexico City, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and try dictator Trump in Washington, D.C. because whatever the hell this is not working. Mrs. Bowser, Miss Bowser, I don't see a wedding ring on that finger. Miss Bowser, Mrs. Bowser, I don't know, personal life. Muriel Bowser is the youngest of 6 children. Yeah, I don't think she's married. I don't think she's married. I don't think she oh, hold up, born. She has 1 child. None of this matters, but you know, we have 17 minutes to kill here for a second. So anyway, Mr. Bowser? I don't know. Now I have some videos we can play here. This is footage coming out of Washington, D.C. over the last couple days, posted by the White House Rapid Response page. White House Rapid Response, Washington, D.C. Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner Andrea Davis gives us her opinion here.
If they are able to do that, then I think there's no problem with that because there are pockets in D.C. that are significantly out of control. We have school zones that are drug-infested neighborhoods.
Mixed reaction from the community, but they all agree on one thing. Something must be done to decrease crime.
Something's got to be done. Now, it's very weird. In 2016, I went on a family trip with my dad and my brother to Washington, D.C. We were there for like 3 or 4 days, and we were doing the American sightseeing thing. We went to the Capitol, we went to outside the White House, we went to all the museums, the Smithsonian, blah blah blah. Okay, and it was great. It was awesome. It was great. We saw the Lincoln Memorial. It was great. It was awesome. But we only stayed in the political area. We were in the political, looking at all the monuments. So it didn't really seem that dangerous. It didn't seem that crime-ridden. As I understand it, if you exit the political area of Washington, D.C., like if you leave the kind of capital area, then you do have a bunch of crime-ridden, very violent ghettos. I didn't see that personally because I stayed in the nice area, I guess. But as far as I understand it, D.C. really is bad. D.C. is really, really bad. You do have a lot of ghettos there. And I'm not sure exactly where in D.C. the ghettos are. Maybe we can try to find them here on Google Maps. Do you guys want to try to look on Google Maps and try to find, we can take a look at the D.C. ghettos here? Speaking of which, Washington, D.C. residents react to the violence plaguing their community.
Some shots, some bangs. We've seen police officers running in all directions.
I almost feel a little desensitized to it in a way because it seems to be of the norm.
It's actually pretty scary that these teenagers own guns and that they are in the neighborhood shooting guns.
So, let's just be honest. We need to have an adult conversation about this. We all kind of know what is going on. When we say these teenagers have guns, we are talking about urban youth, gang crime, ghetto, gang, hoodlums running around, shooting each other. This is just like, let's be honest here. So that's pretty much what is going on. And so it seems like President Trump here is going to be deploying the National Guard. We got to see, there was an article we can take a look at here. Let me take a look. Yeah, a bunch of young thugs. When I was a teenage boy, I was not running around shooting people. I was playing World of Warcraft. I was a level 17 gnome warlock casting Shadow Bolt on goblins and dragons in the Elwyn Forest in World of Warcraft. So that's what I was doing instead of participating in gang shootouts. A little bit of a different culture. So let's take a look at this. Trump considers deploying National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. ahead of the news conference. This is going to be in about 13 minutes. Let's take a look at this. President Trump is considering deploying up to 1,000 National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. Officials have confirmed to Fox News ahead of a Monday morning Trump news conference, and that's what we are going to be tuning into here in about 13 minutes. Very soon, President Trump, the commander-in-chief, is going to be going live here. He's going to come and give us a speech. The troops would likely be pulled from the DC National Guard, although the decision about sending National Guard troops is not final, the officials have said. Federal agents have deployed to DC streets in recent days, including officers from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and also Customs and Border Protection, CBP. Excuse me, I have a very stuffy nose this morning. The press conference is scheduled for 10 a.m. Yep, very soon. It's going to go over the upcoming beautification of Washington, D.C. Now, here's what I want to know, folks. How many people are we talking about here? How many people is this grok? Yeah. How many people live in Washington, D.C.? Exactly. Like, really, how many people are we talking about here? So, whoa. That is way more than I would have ever expected. 702,000 people per the 2024 U.S. Census Bureau. This is as of July 2024. So as of a year ago, 702,000 people. Guys, that's a lot of people. D.C. isn't really even that big of an area. No wonder they're all going crazy. Have you guys ever considered, where does most of the violent crime happen? The homicides, the shooting, all the stuff. It happens in the cities. It happens in these densely packed, highly urban areas. And then you go to the city, and what is it? You hear people honking their horns. You hear sirens, police officers, wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. People are loud. It smells like garbage. It smells like stinky, smelly people. Everybody's loud and rude. And it's like, man, no wonder people are killing each other in the cities. This place sucks. The cities suck. They're terrible. Of course, humans are not meant to live like jam-packed into that, into highly dense areas like this. They're like a bunch of bugs living in a bug hive. And so then you realize the further you get out of the city, you go in the country or even a little bit further out in the suburbs, people have a little bit more space. You can breathe, you can relax. There's not all this sound pollution and everybody doesn't smell bad and, people aren't as rude. And so, and then that's where you have a little bit more peace. Listen, city people. Well, we just don't like city folk around here. Washington, D.C. will be liberated. President Trump wrote on Truth Social, the crime, the savagery, the filth, I will make it disappear. I will make our capital great again. And of course, the Democrats are saying, oh my God, that's what Hitler said. That's what Hitler said about Berlin. He said he was going to make all the savagery and filth disappear. Okay. Trump described D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, who publicly clashed with Trump during the George Floyd riots of 2020. This is what I don't understand. Donald Trump called Muriel Bowser a, quote, good person who has tried, but she has failed to clean up the city. I'm not even sure why he would call her a good person. Who cares? She probably sucks. She sucks. Muriel Bowser, you suck. You guys are now realizing early in the morning here, I'm a little bit spicier. I'm a little bit edgier than normal. You guys are getting the real unadulterated Matt Morse this morning. It's because I haven't had my entire cup of coffee yet. The American people are not going to put up with it any longer, President Trump said. We're going to do something about this. Okay, now here's what I want to do. Can I open up YouTube here? Now, where? Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay, so we do have, this is the official White House YouTube stream. They are officially live as of 5 minutes ago. And probably President Trump is going to come out here and President Trump, he is going to come out here and give a speech about all of this in T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. So we are on standby. Patriots, stand by and stand down. We are on standby. It really is a Monday. God, man, you know what? Hey, I have to be honest. I'm a little bit upset at President Trump right now. President Trump decided to do this big, colossal bombshell news conference at 10 a.m. East Coast, which is 7 a.m. on the West Coast, which means I have to wake up at 5:30 in order to get my show ready. I gotta get everything set up. So, President Trump, I am a little bit upset with you today because I had to wake up at 5:30 in order to put the show together. So, hey, we have a little bit of beef. We have a little bit of drama today, Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump. Now I'm gonna go back to the dude. These numbers really are just insane. The homicide rate in Washington D.C. really is just astoundingly high. People are getting gunned down left and right. Look at this. You know, a lot of these other countries, you think, man, Havana, Cuba, I would never go there. That place is it's a rundown hellhole. Ethiopia, I'm never going to Ethiopia. That place is a hellhole. Mexico City, no thanks. No me gusta mucho, amigo. Not going there. And then you actually look at the numbers and it's like, yeah, actually Washington D.C. is like 5 times as worse. 5 times as bad. So yeah, we got to do something. President Trump has got to do something about this. We have a massive super chat here on YouTube from Wisdom Nuggets and Tidbits. He says, President Trump cleaning house in one blue state at a time. You're right. And you know what I have to say? I have to say, thank God Washington, D.C. is not a state. Can you imagine if Washington, D.C. was a state? Because it would be Democrat operated. They would have an extra 2 senators. They would have another couple representatives in the U.S. House of Representatives. They would. So, you know, it's better that we keep Washington D.C. a little bit illegitimate. It's probably for the best. BG says, I had better odds at my foxhole in Bastogne back in the day than walking for a late night slice of pizza in D.C. Yeah, you know what? I bet you're right. I bet you're right about that. You're probably right. Hey, BG, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. All of you guys, everybody over on Rumble and on YouTube, thank you guys. This is a very spur of the moment, early morning stream, so thank you guys. Luke Smart says, hey, I just wanted to thank you for being brave enough to cover all of the stories the mainstream media hides. You know what? Here's what I have to say. First off, thank you. I appreciate that. As you might have noticed, the mainstream media is dying. It's because they're just nothing but a bunch of bullshit propagandistic liars. They're not talking about the real news. So these days, whenever we say that, you know, what we're doing here on YouTube and Rumble, we are the news. The news is now interactive. You guys are a part of it. You guys have feedback. You have a say in it. We're talking back and forth. So I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. We are the news. You are the news. That's right. The mainstream media is dying off. Oh, hey, this is something that President Trump had to say about Washington, D.C. This is over a year ago. This was President Trump on the campaign trail. This is a year and a half ago. Take a look at this.
We will also take over the horribly run capital of our nation in Washington, D.C., and clean it up, renovate it, and rebuild our capital city, get rid of the slums so that it is no longer a nightmare of murder and crime, but rather it will become the most beautiful capital anywhere in the world. What do you think these leaders come in when they come in to see the president and they ride over a road that's full of potholes and garbage? And the medians, you know, those metal medians that garbage that you put them up 2 days later. I think the sun melts them or something. They expand and contract. They're laying all over the ground. But you look at all the filth, and you look at the graffiti on beautiful marble walls, and
you know, I am real quick. I'm a 31-year-old man. I think spiritually, I'm probably like 80, 85. Spiritually, I'm an 85-year-old white guy. Really, that is where I'm at. Man, I hate graffiti. Graffiti pisses me off like you would not believe. And then people, they have the audacity to say, hey, it's actually urban art. We actually don't like the term graffiti. We prefer the term urban art. We view it as enriching our community. We want an enriched, beautiful, artistic community with graffiti. I mean, urban art everywhere. No. Graffiti is disgusting. Gross. Get it out of here. If you are found guilty of graffitiing, of tagging, they call it tagging, you are getting deported. We are sending you to CCOT. You're going to El Salvador, Bukele. Handle him. I hate it. I hate it.
you look at what happened, and most importantly, you look at the crime and the murder. You leave, you go to from Virginia, you want to take a trip through Washington, you end up getting shot, killed, or something. And it's a shame. We're going to be very strong. We're going to take over Washington, D.C. We're going to run it properly. We're going to get rid of the slums. We're going to open up our parks. We're going to have to get rid of the tent cities. And the
tent cities have got to go. Folks, we are going live here. Hold up. There we go. Okay. In the next 2 minutes, allegedly, we're going live in the next 2 minutes. BG, we have a super chat here on YouTube. He says, I survived Pickett's charge on that hot Pennsylvania day, but wouldn't go to DC for all the money in the world. You know, like I said, I went to DC a couple years ago. I had a good time, but I stayed, I think, in the nice area. I think I was in the nice area of DC. So, you know, hopefully President Trump does successfully clean the city up, because I want to tell you guys, going to DC, it really is a very cool experience. It's beautiful architecture, obviously deep, rich, beautiful American history. It's almost like it's like a patriotic American pilgrimage. You know how the Muslims, they have to go to Mecca at some point. I think as an American, it is worth it. You should go to DC. You should go see the Capitol. You should go see all the monuments and the history and the museums. It is awesome. But also, you don't want to get shot and have to step over a bunch of hypodermic needles and homeless people living on the side of the road. So clean up the city. DC really does have a lot of potential. Fix it up. Fix it up, President Trump, because it does have potential. It really should be taken care of. It should be totally cool. It should be awesome. But no, but I get where you are coming from at a minimum here. I totally do. But hey, I had a good time a couple years ago. You know, while we wait here, because it's coming up here any minute, I'm gonna quickly open up Google Maps. Sometimes, folks, President Trump, you know, I don't want to say he's late. That's not the word I want to use. I'm not gonna say he's late, but you know, sometimes, you know, they show up a little bit later than expected. We can put it that way. And so I think we might actually end up have a couple of extra minutes here. So this is, can you get out of here? Okay, there we go. So, okay, so this is Washington, D.C. here, folks. And once again, if this live broadcast begins, we are going to be ready for it. So do not worry. We are not going to miss a thing. This is Washington, D.C., the beautiful city. So this is the area that I was at. I think this is where most people go. They visit. Here's the Capitol building. You have the, what's it called? The mall here. Washington Monument right outside the White House. The Lincoln Memorial is awesome. Totally badass. The Smithsonian Museum. Can we drop in and take a look here? There's that big old monument. This is some museum. The Smithsonian is right over there. There's the Capitol building down there. So it's cool. But we were going to try to find the ghetto as far, I think there's the Pentagon is right there across the river. So where is the Washington, D.C. ghetto? If I want to go visit the ghetto, is it down here? Maybe this is where you don't want to go. Well, frankly, this doesn't really seem that bad, honestly. This doesn't really seem like a ghetto to me. This seems maybe like a fine neighborhood. Probably. I guess it depends on who's living there, maybe. Anyway, I'm not sure. Southeast? Okay, somebody in the chat here says southeast. Oh, okay. Okay, southeast Washington right here. Let me take a look. I'm dropping in. Here we go. Well, this is just a guy blowing his grass. He's taking care of his lawn. He's blowing the grass. You know, he has a nice Ford Explorer. You know, maybe nothing to be too critical of here. You have some apartment buildings. Who knows? Maybe you have to be there. You got to be there on the ground to really believe it. I'm not sure. It's hard to get a good grip from Google Maps. Now, speaking of Google Maps, there's one place I love to look at. I spend a lot of time. This is unrelated to anything we're doing today, but we have an extra minute here. I love to go look at India on Google Maps. India is really something else. We're going to drop into New Delhi real quick. And let's just say that oh, wow. Let's just say that I wouldn't want to live in India. Let me put it that way. So anyway, we're done looking at India, though. Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is going to come out here and give us his game plan for Washington, D.C. any second now. It's happening any moment. He's going to come on out and tell us what is the plan. We are speculating that he's going to be deploying the National Guard. Maybe 1,000 National Guard soldiers. This is a member of the Trump administration. His name is Stephen Chung. He says, make D.C. safe again, as of 12 minutes ago. For all the reporters who are trying to gaslight the public into thinking D.C. is completely safe, here is a reminder. The stats they are citing is not what it seems. What did he say? The DC police commander suspended, accused of changing the crime stats. The commander of the DC police was suspended last month because he was manipulating the crime stats of the city. Isn't that something else? That is something else. We have another thing here relating to the cooking of the books. The cooking of the books for the DC crime statistics is a serious scandal. No one believes DC is safe. America's capital should be a beautiful and peaceful sanctuary for the greatest democracy on earth. Instead, citizens, visitors, and diplomats are terrorized by thugs and criminals. Seems to be the case. That seems to be the case. There's a lot of thugs and criminals running around in Washington, D.C. Bernard Brown, whose 3-year-old granddaughter was shot and killed in Washington, D.C., likes the idea of federal officers protecting our capital. Can I tell you something? This is something that I have just noticed over the last, over my life, I guess, is that some of the people, generally on the left, you hear people saying, oh, we need to defund the police. We need fewer police. We don't like the police. Some of the biggest proponents of actually increasing the police presence in the hood, in the ghetto, it's people that live in the hood and in the ghetto. If you talk to a lot of black people that live in the hood and in the ghetto, they are the ones that are saying, listen, it's hell on earth. We want more police. We want more police to help us out, to fix our problems. It's a bunch of it's like the white liberal elite that is saying, oh, listen, we need to reduce the police. We need to defund the police. People that actually live in the ghetto, a lot of them say we need more police.
But likes the idea of having more federal agents on the street.
The mayor seems not to have enough control of the activities that are arising.
But likes the idea of having more federal agents.
He wants more federal agents in the streets. Makes sense to me. You know, I've got some police officer friends. I've got police officers in the family also. And I've had conversations about this whole idea of defunding the police. And what I have heard from numerous actual police officers, maybe somebody in the chat here can kind of corroborate this, is that actually the best way to reduce the incidency of police accidents or police brutality is actually to hire more police officers. And by nature of hiring more police officers, your police force is not as overworked. You know, for instance, it's better to have more police officers in your police force and then have each individual officer patrolling the streets maybe 25 or 30 hours a week as opposed to 45 or 50. And then the rest of the time, they're maybe in the office doing paperwork or various training programs or whatever. Because what ends up causing a lot of the police brutality or police violence, etc., is overworked, stressed out, tired police officers. So it's more like hire more police officers, kind of give them a break, reduce the burden that is on their shoulders, because it is a very stressful job, incredibly stressful, dangerous, violent, brutal job where think about it. What is the job of a police officer? Their job is to deal with some of the most insane, stressful, traumatic situations that we have in our society, right? If somebody gets shot, if somebody dies, if somebody whatever, who's the first on the scene? It's a police officer. And so what is the best way to kind of deal with the situation? It's actually hire more police officers and kind of spread the load, or spread the burden a little bit. Yep. Wow, how dumb is this host? Police don't stop crime or prevent it. If it did, why not make everybody a cop? Then there is no crime. Police officers, police presence actually does reduce crime. That you're actually totally factually incorrect. If you have increased police presence, crime does go down. This is just like factually, historically verified. This is the truth. I don't know what alternative, stupid, incompetent reality you live in, but this is the truth. Increased rates of policing means reduced crime. This is true. This is obviously true. We've seen this happen time and time again. And so, like I said, you have a lot of people in the ghetto in crime-ridden areas that actually say, we want increased police presence because we know that crime will go down, as it always does. So this is just like the truth. I understand it's very popular to hate the police. We hate the police. I'm not exactly one of those guys. I don't really share that belief with you. Of course, as with any job, you have some dickheads here and there. But I think you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? I think most police officers, the vast majority of police officers, are good. They're great. They want to do a good job. They want to be supported. They want to support. They want to serve the public. And so I think it's important to not let the 0.01% or whatever of, bad police officers ruin the entire thing. Like I said, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, now let me take a look. What do we have over here? I'm looking at the Rumble chat. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, I see that we are 10 minutes. I'm not going to say late. Listen, Trump is not on our schedule. We are on his schedule. So yes, it is true that they said that Trump would come out and talk about what is their plan. What is the plan for Washington, D.C.? They said they were going to be talking about this at 10 p.m. Eastern. It is now 10 a.m., not p.m., a.m. It is now 10 a.m. Eastern. So we are 10 minutes behind schedule. So any minute now, he's going to come out and give us an update here. We're going to wait and see. Here. I don't know if you guys heard the news. I was reading about this 2 days ago. In Canada, they are now closing down segments of the forest, like pretty much because of various climate related concerns. I think it has to do with forest fires. They are not letting people go hiking in the woods. You are not allowed to go in the woods. You're not allowed to go in the forest. This is up in Canada. You're not allowed to spend time in nature. They're having not COVID lockdowns. Now they are having climate lockdowns. We are so concerned about the climate and the forests that you are not allowed to go in the woods. How just absolutely ridiculous is that? This is my American mindset. I feel like it is your patriotic obligation to not comply with that. When the government is telling you that you can't go for a hike, it is your patriotic obligation to not comply. Whatever the fine, if the fine is of $50, $100, you spend the night in jail. Because here's the deal, if you just collectively have hundreds or thousands of people that out of protest refuse to comply with that, then their program is not going to work, right? If society collectively says, listen, we are not going to follow this rule. We are not going to let the government strip us of our right to go hiking in the woods. It's not going to work. They need to have compliance. And so if people just don't comply, then it's not going to work. So it's one of those patriotic moments. Nope, we're not going to do that one. But here's what I'm thinking. Where is President Trump? President Trump, I'm going to go back. I'm going to take a look at Truth Social here. The fine is $25,000. You know what they should do? They should have a big organized hiking protest. They should have 1,000 guys, 1,000 people, men and women, go for a hike all together. What are they going to do? They're going to arrest all of them. They're going to fine all of them. You need to have a 1 million man march through the woods as a form of protest. President Trump said 2 hours ago, Washington, D.C. will be liberated today. The crime, the savagery, the filth, and the scum will disappear. I will make our capital great again. The days of ruthlessly killing or hurting innocent people are over. I quickly fixed the border, 0 illegals in the last 3 months. Washington, D.C. is next. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. And so any minute, President Trump is going to come out here and he's going to give some information about what exactly is the plan. What are we doing here with Washington, D.C.? We are about 14 minutes behind schedule. But you know what? That is just the way that these things go sometimes. Stephen Miller said 1 hour ago, he said, Washington, D.C. will be set free. It will be emancipated from the leadership, from the incompetent leadership of the Democrat. Oh my gosh, look at this. The White House Rapid Response page just posted. This is the 2024 murder rate per 100,000 people. Washington, D.C., 27.54. Bogota, Colombia, 15.1. Mexico City, 10.6. Islamabad, 9.2. Lima, Peru, 7.6. Ottawa, 2.17. Paris, 1.64. Havana, 1.5. Delhi, 1.49. London, 1.1. Madrid, 0.96. So as you can see, guys, ladies and gentlemen, folks, Washington, D.C. is bad. This place is hell on earth. Not only is it a swamp, but it's a dangerous, it's a violent, brutal, it's a bloody swamp. Now, I do have to say, here in America, generally speaking, we're pretty good at record keeping and report and crime stats. We keep a pretty good count of everything that's going on. I question whether or not Havana in Cuba, whether or not they are accurately and properly reporting crime stats and murder stats. Now, of course, am I trying to hand wave how bad Washington, D.C. is? No. Washington, D.C. is bad. We got to do something about it. We got to fix it. That being said, do I trust whether or not Delhi is properly reporting their crime stats? Maybe not. Do I trust whether or not Lima in Peru, if they have a firm grasp on their crime stats? Maybe not. Maybe not. Even Paris. Maybe even Paris. Maybe even London. London is pretty bad. Paris has gotten pretty bad. They have all of these let's say, culturally incompatible immigrants from the third world causing all types of problems, violence, sexual crimes, all types of terrible things. It's off the chain. It's bad. It's not good. Now, once again, we are about 17 minutes late at the moment. So any minute President Trump is going to be coming out. We're going to hear about what is Trump's plan to clean up the streets of Washington, D.C. And, you know, here's the thing. For the last 10 years, the Democrats, the progressive left, they have been calling Trump a dictator, a fascist. He's Hitlerian, whatever. And so I saw somebody on Twitter, they said, President Trump, you shouldn't federalize D.C. because they're going to call you a dictator. Trump, don't do it. Listen, dude, they have been calling Trump a dictator for 10 years. Who cares? It's like, listen, we need to clean up the streets. We have to solve this problem. Washington, D.C. is a hellhole. Why are we scared of the progressive left calling Trump a dictator and a fascist? They've been doing that for a decade. Who cares? At a certain point, we got to start fixing the country. We got to save the country. It's like, regardless of what he does, they're going to call him a dictator and a fascist. So just go ahead and fix the country. Let's just get the country back on track. They've been doing it. They're going to keep on doing it. It doesn't matter. Donald Trump could take a sip of water and they would say that, oh, Donald Trump is a dictator because Hitler drank water. Adolf Hitler drank water back in 1941. And now Trump is drinking water. So he's a Nazi. At a certain point, we got to clean up the streets. We got to fix the country. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are 18 minutes behind schedule right now. President Trump, listen, you are really testing my ability to stall, to make small talk. We've been stalling now for 19 minutes. Come on, President Trump. Come on. I'm running out of material. So anyway, I just flew in from out of town. And boy, my arms are tired. Nice weather. Actually, it's not nice weather. Yesterday it was 95 degrees. In fact, yesterday, something happened in here. Yesterday it got so hot in my office that I'm in right now. It actually flipped the circuit. It flipped the switch. I had to go out in the garage and flip the switch back on. All the electronics in my office flipped off. We had a little bit of a power outage. It got so hot, I lost power in my office yesterday. It was very annoying. I was right in the middle of a project also. So no, it's been too hot. I am ready for, in Oregon. No, I live in Washington, close to Oregon. Oregon is my home state, but I've been in Washington for the last 5 years. However, I'll tell you what, in the next 3 weeks, we are moving to Idaho. We're moving to North Idaho. So we have a big move. It's about 7 hours, maybe 6 hours away from where we live now. It's a big old move. We're paying for a big moving team. We're having 3 guys in a big truck, and everybody in my family is going to help us out. We are relocating to Idaho. But in Washington, in Western Washington here, we have had a big heat wave. The entire country, really. It's getting hot. Too damn hot. And listen, hey, I hate to, maybe kind of go there. Maybe I hate to make it racial, but look at me. Listen, a guy like me, I'm not meant to live in 95 degree heat. If you think about what were my ancestors doing? Where did my blood come from thousands of years ago? They were living in the cold, frozen north, running through the forests, living in the snow, in the rain, And so I'm just not designed for the heat. I hate the heat. I hate it when it's sunny. Summer sucks. I hate it. So I'm already ready for fall and for winter. It's time. It is time. The winter is calling me. Very soon. We are over with this summer thing. Oh, goodness gracious. Now, still, we are 21 minutes behind schedule. President Trump, let's go. Bring it out. Bring it out. This is who the current mayor of Washington, D.C. is. She has been the mayor for 10 years of Washington, D.C. Her name is Muriel Bowser. She assumed office in January of 2025. So actually, almost 11 years, this woman has been the mayor of D.C. And she has run this city into the freaking ground. Every single year, this city has gotten worse. It's gotten more violent. There's been more crime, more potholes in the roads, more homelessness, more drug addiction. Every single year under her leadership, this city has gotten worse. There she is. It has gotten worse. So President Trump is going to be, I think, maybe just superseding her leadership. He's going to say, listen, sweetheart, you've done a terrible job. You've done a terrible job, and now you got to go. Here are all the citations. And so now you got to go. That's enough. Enough is enough. You had 10 years, almost 11 years to try to clean this city up, and now you have got to go. Bowser, you're fired. That's right. I moved to the Pacific Northwest to avoid the sun. Yeah, you know, we probably get less of it than most people here in the U.S., but still, it's too much. Still, it's too much. We have Pepsi Jay, he says, I appreciate that super chat. He says, think USA is bad with liberals. Canada is worse, and some parts are trying to separate from... I know. And you know what? I'll tell you what. I think down here in the U.S., we would probably be happy to take in Alberta. I think we'd be happy to have Alberta as the 51st state. The rest of Canada, maybe we don't want. But Alberta, I think, you know, maybe we could reach some type of compromise. Alberta could be the 51st state of the U.S. The problem with taking Canada in its entirety is that Canada is kind of like California 2.0. If you look at Canada in its entirety as a nation, it has just about as many people as California. It's like 38, 40 million people, something like that. And also Canada is generally speaking very progressive. Alberta, however, is not. Alberta, by the way, is generally speaking very conservative. It's the most conservative province. It is conservative. This is where you have your Canadian separatist movement. Also, Alberta is rich. Alberta is the economic powerhouse of Canada. They have all of this oil money. This is where all the oil and energy is coming from in Canada. So, hey, you know what? President Trump is on. Well, the official... Oh, there it is. Are we live? I'm going to reload here. Okay, no, not yet. Not yet. Guys, we are watching this is the official White House page. So we're going to wait for this one here. Okay, this is what we're taking a look at today. It doesn't get more official than this. So we're holding it down for the time being. I do have to say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for tuning in today. I know we have already been live over here on Rumble and on YouTube for about check the broadcast. I am live. Listen, calm down. Listen, Kim, respectfully, this is the official White House broadcast. Like I said, this is the official one. We are here. We are live. This is the official White House broadcast. This is it. So we're going to wait. We are going to wait. I don't know what you are watching. This is the official broadcast. Press F5. I have reloaded this thing 5 times. We are live. This is it. I don't know what to tell you. This is what it is. I don't know what else you are watching. This is what we are watching. You got to relax. You got to take it easy. You got to relax. He is not on yet. President Trump is not talking yet. He is not out yet. This is the official White House broadcast. President Trump has not come out yet. So we are still waiting. Thank you. I appreciate your patience. I was about to say, listen, guys, I appreciate everybody's patience. And then Kim had to go crazy in the chat. Calm down, Kim. Kim, calm down. Everybody, thank you. Okay. So soon he is coming out. Soon he's coming out. Your AI told their AI to stall so you could AI talk to us. It is funny. Sometimes I do see these comments. Matt Morris is AI. He's AI. I wish I was AI. Honestly, it would make my life a lot easier. I spend a lot of time writing up all of my video scripts and doing my research to make sure my videos are good. Man, I wish it was AI. I would have a much easier life if I could do everything with AI. That would help me a lot. Hey, Teradao T, thank you very much. I appreciate that big super chat. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Who knows? Maybe in the next 10 years, you know, AI will be able to do what I do. I don't know. Hopefully. Then I can relax. I can sit on the beach all day. I can sip margaritas on the beach with you guys. We can all retire because AI is going to take our jobs someday. We're going to have universal basic income. Who was that politician? He was the Asian guy a couple years ago who was pushing for universal basic income. Yang? No, what was his name? He was friends with Elon Musk. This was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Steve Yang? Yeah, it was Yang. It was Yang something Yang. Anyway, this guy was Andrew Yang. Thank you. I appreciate that. Andrew Yang was his name. He was pushing for universal basic income. You know, you have some people that are speculating that artificial intelligence, it is going to make it so human labor is no longer necessary. Human labor is going to be a thing of the past. Artificial intelligence is going to replace, you know, the entire human labor force. I think a little bit. I think to some degree, certain jobs are going to be, you know, replaced. But that's kind of the history of humanity, you know? You go back a couple hundred years ago, before the invention of the Gutenberg printing press, you know, you had scribes. You had professional full-time scribes whose job it was to write books, and they were writing by hand with a pen or, you know, calligraphy ink or whatever. And then you had the Gutenberg printing press. And so those guys, the scribes, they lost their job. And so I think it is one of these things, you know, whenever the automobile was invented, a lot of people in the horse industry, you know, stables and horse breeders and whatever, they lost their jobs. That's just kind of the way that humanity has always unfolded. And I think it's going to be the way humanity continues to unfold. AI, most certainly some people will lose their jobs, but, you know, I think different new jobs will pop up. You know, you're going to have AI engineers and AI technicians, and you're going to need mechanics, physical mechanics to maintain the AI infrastructure and all of this stuff. So we'll see. Maybe I'm going to be totally wrong. Maybe in the next 10 years, we're all going to be unemployed. Nobody's going to have any jobs at all. It's going to be like out of the Terminator movies. We're going to have Skynet. Robots are going to be flying through the sky, doing everything, and we're all going to be you know, just a bunch of fat people sitting in our house doing nothing, wearing our virtual reality headsets. Who knows? I would speculate probably not. Wow, guys, I gotta say, listen, guys, we're about 30 minutes behind schedule here today. So I want to say thank you everybody in the Rumble chat and in the YouTube chat. Everybody, thank you very much for tuning in and giving me your patience. I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate you guys tolerating my meandering, my monologuing. So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. You know, it was about a half hour ago. This entire thing was supposed to get kicked off. Hasn't happened yet. Any minute, surely, any minute now. 2 minutes away. Yeah, 2 more minutes. Trust the plan. 2 more minutes. You can build houses for $7.50 an hour. You know, even today, we're already starting to see houses are being 3D printed. They have 3D printing concrete machines, and they're printing houses out of like a nozzle that squirts concrete. I don't know. Is that ever going to catch on? I think probably not, but in some places in the world, they're already doing that. I wouldn't want to live in a 3D printed concrete house. That sounds not so good to me, but I've seen the videos. I've seen it. 3D houses. Yep. I only want to live in a 2D house. Never a 3D house. Matt needs to write down some jokes if Trump is late. All right, well, you want to hear a joke? I do have some jokes. I am a dad, and so I do have some dad jokes. Ladies and gentlemen, wait, hold up. How does it go? Wait a minute, hold up. I need to remember my material. It's been a while since I've been on my stand-up tour. All right, ladies and gentlemen, can you guess what is brown and sticky? It is brown and it is sticky. Can you guess what it is? I'll give you 5 seconds. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the answer is a stick. A stick is brown and sticky. It's a stick. So this is where everybody can type LOL. Everybody is now, and because that joke was so funny, everybody is going to type LOL. LOL in the chat. Every single person is typing LOL in the chat because that was so funny. That was just hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Right? I know. Deborah D. My monologue rant. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, my monologue is brown and sticky. Yeah, true. Thank you. Thank you. And so, yeah, but really, really, I don't have any great jokes to tell you guys. Now, however, I do have a very cute puppy. If you guys want to see a little Argos, who's our very cute puppy. But I know the second I step away to go get him, Donald Trump is going to come out. I know that's how life works. So I'll go get him, but I know the second I get out of my chair, Donald Trump is going to come out. But okay, I'm going to go get the puppy. I'll be right back. Oh, you're right here. This is my emergency backup. In case nothing is going on and there's nothing to talk about, then we gotta bring out the puppy. Oh, look at how cute this boy is. Are you a little bit camera shy this morning? Yeah, there he is. Look at how cute this guy is. So he's about 4.5 months. Yeah, I know. He's about 4.5 months old. And he's really a very good boy. He's learning how to not nibble. He's doing sit stay here. He's going on walks. He's a pretty good walker already. He knows how to... Look at that. Look at just how cute this guy is, right? What a good-looking young man. All right, buddy. He's a little German Shepherd. Okay, I'm going to send you back out now, okay? You go have some water or go hang out. You go take a nap. Looks like you're sleepy. Yeah, that was my AI dog. This is my AI office. I'm an AI person. Everything here is AI. This is my AI microphone, and that was my AI puppy. So, and I programmed all of it myself. I'm a master programmer. It's my entire AI setup. Whereas like, so we had an old German Shepherd. She was just about 10 years old, and she passed away about a month and a half ago. So that sucks, and we've been very sad about that. In fact, you probably saw back there, we have a little Leica shrine. We've got, you know, all of her stuff back there. It's very important. But we had a German Shepherd pass away about a month and a half ago. So that was terrible. But, you know, we also have a little German Shepherd puppy in the house. Now, we have 2 big super chats over here on YouTube. This is from Bill Austin. He says, sorry for the early hour. I am, however, on. Well, hey, welcome. Guess what? Lucky for you, you did not miss anything. You have not missed anything so far because President Trump right now is about 36 minutes behind schedule. So if you're tuning in right now, surprise, you have missed nothing other than a bunch of rambling and monologuing about nothing. The weather. We've been talking about the weather a lot. And also we have Leon Smith. He says, beautiful German Shepherd. I like his colors. He's a good looking young boy. He has like a beautiful cedar His brown is more of like a cedar kind of red. He looks good. He's a good looking young pup. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I see Birdie Spear, by the way, over here on Rumble, says, Matt, I just found your channel. I love it. Thanks for what you do. Always looking for real news and new faces. And you're now part of our viewing. Birdie Spear, Birdie Spar. I appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome. You know, can I be a little bit honest here? Sometimes I look around at the other people doing commentary, left wing and right wing. I see the other YouTube channels, the other people over here on Rumble, and I'll be honest with you guys, most certainly, now he's on. Listen, I don't think Trump is on. He's not. No, he's not. Guys, this is the, hold that thought. This is the official White House broadcast, and he is not on. No. So we are still waiting. Whenever he comes out and speaks, this is where it is. I see people saying he's starting. No, he's not. Trump is live now on the Associate Press. Well, why is he not live on the official White House? Let me go to the Associate Press. Take a look at this. Oh, what do you know? He's not on. Oh, what do you know? Donald Trump is not speaking yet. Guys. There he is. Okay, now he's coming out. Okay.
Wow. I've been up here a lot. I've never seen a crowd like this. I think we need a ballroom, and that's happening. It's going to be a beautiful ballroom. This is really a lot of people, most I've ever seen in this room. And we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly.
National Guard,
and you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed.
Nope.
And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth. Much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged-out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Just like we did on our southern border. Nobody comes through our southern border anymore. 3 months in a row, we had zero. I don't know if that's right, but the people that do the work, it's a very liberal group of people, actually, and they actually said zero for the last 3 months. Nobody thought a thing like that was possible. And, when you take a look at numbers, I just saw some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. Red is, the red is a place called Washington, D.C.
Not good.
Look at these. Baghdad we doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru, all double and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that? I don't think so.
A lot of gang
I don't
violence.
think so. And I think the people in this room, if you wrote correctly, you'd see, look at the kind of numbers we have. DC, 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. Is that where you want to live? The reporters of the world? Juvenile offenders and crimes against persons, as they say. It's getting worse. Not getting better, it's getting worse. And we had a recent indication.
Big balls.
There was a story about a man who was just left. He quit because he was asked to do phony numbers on crime.
Oh.
And we're going to look into that. I think Pam is going to be looking into that. But he was asked by the city, I guess, that we don't want to show the real numbers. Let me do numbers so it looks like it's going down. Not going down.
Wow.
And under Biden, it was a disaster. And nobody did anything about it. We're going to do things about it like you wouldn't believe. Every American has a constitutional right to be able to access and petition their government in safety, and countless federal officials and employees likewise have the right to carry out their jobs in peace without being shot. As you know, I lost a very good person a while ago, was shot waiting for his wife. He was in the car. They robbed his car. They shot him. They killed him like it was nothing to it. She was walking to the car. It's a horror show. This issue directly impacts the functioning of the federal government and is a threat to America, really. It's a threat to our country. We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is.
Very bad.
We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have,
Portland.
of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with D.C., and we're going to clean it up real quick, very quickly, as they say. Days ago, a former member of the DOJ staff was savagely beaten by a band of roving thugs after defending a young woman from an attempted carjacking.
Roving thugs.
He was left dripping in blood. He thought he was dead with a broken nose and concussion. Can't believe that he's alive. He can't believe it. In June, a 21-year-old congressional intern was tragically killed after being hit by a stray bullet in a drive-by shooting. A former Trump administration official named Mike Gill, fantastic person, was murdered last year in cold blood in a carjacking blocks away from the White House. We all knew him. Great person. Waiting for his wife as she was walking to the car. A Democrat congressman was also carjacked at gunpoint not far from the Capitol. And in 2023, an aide to horrifically last July 4th weekend, a 3-year-old girl was shot in the head and killed while sitting in a car.
Oh, my God.
Near the Capitol. It's becoming a situation of complete and total lawlessness. And we're getting rid of the slums, too. We have slums here. We're getting rid of them. I know it's not politically correct. You'll say, oh, so terrible. No, we're getting rid of the slums where they live. Caravans of mass youth rampage through city streets at all times of the day. There are ATVs, motorbikes. They travel pretty well. Entire neighborhoods are now under emergency curfews. Just this past weekend, gunfire went through, and you saw that, the Navy Yard. I saw it this morning. They saw that they fought back against law. See, they fight back until you knock the hell out of them, because it's the only language they understand. But they fought back against law enforcement last night. And they're not going to be fighting back long, because I've instructed them, and told them, whatever happens, you know, they love to spit in the face of the police as the police are standing up there in uniform. They're standing and they're screaming at them an inch away from their face. And then they start spitting in their face. And I said, you tell them, you spit and we hit. And they can hit real hard. It's a disgusting thing. I've watched that for years, for 3-4 years. I've watched them. The police are standing, and they're told, don't do anything under any search. So and you can see they want to get at it. And they're standing there, and people are spitting in their face, and they're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want. This dire public safety crisis stems directly from the abject failures of the city's local leadership. The radical left city council adopted no cash bail. By the way, every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. That's what started the problem in New York, and they don't change it. They don't want to change it. That's what started it in Chicago. I mean, bad politicians started it, bad leadership started it, but that was the one thing that's central, no cash bail. Somebody murders somebody and they're out on no cash bail before the day is out. We're going to end that in Chicago. We're going to change the statute. I spoke with Pam and Todd and everybody. We're going to change the statute, and I'm going to have to get the Republicans to vote because the Democrats are weak on crime, totally weak on crime. They don't know why. They want to stop because they get mugged too. But we're going to change no cash bail. We're going to change the statute and get rid of some of the other things. And we'll count on the Republicans in Congress and Senate to vote. We have the majority, so we'll vote. We don't have a big majority, but we've gotten everything, including the great, big, beautiful bill. Got that done, and that's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to people in this country. They're starting to figure it out, how good it is. Biggest tax cut in history. So many things. But we'll be able to get that done. So, Todd, if you and Pam can draw up things working with the people, we will. I'll get it passed. We'll get it passed with the Republicans. Probably won't get, think of this, probably won't get one Democrat vote because they have no idea what they're doing. That's why they want men playing in women's sports. That's why they want transgender for everybody transgender. And they just got walloped in an election, in a landslide, and they haven't changed one thing. I saw the other day the certain gentleman who was a very well-known politician, Democrat, was fighting like hell that men should be allowed to play in women's sport. They just don't get it. They said it's an 80-20 issue, and I think it's a 97-3 issue. And I don't know who the three are. I've never heard anybody nobody's ever come up to me, sir, you have to let men play in women's sports. You have to do it, sir. Nobody's ever approached me. I don't know where this issue even comes from. Never seen anything like it. But they turned our nation's capital into a sanctuary jurisdiction. That's the other thing. We have to get rid of sanctuary cities as quickly as possible. We're going to do it, too. We have to. Because it's sanctuary for criminals. Releasing illegal alien gang members onto the streets in 2022, nearly 70% of criminals arrested in Washington went unprosecuted. That's not going to happen with the group we have standing aside and standing behind me. And at the Metropolitan Police Department, it's now reached a small number relatively compared to what it was, but it's thousands of people. You know, we have thousands of police. I was told today, sir, they want more police. I heard a number, 3,500 police. That's a lot of police. 3,500. I thought they were going to say, we only have 30 policemen or women. He said, we have 3,500. We need more. You don't need more. That's so many. I never heard. That's like an army. How could you need more than 3,000? It just happened 2 minutes ago. Sir, they've requested more police. Oh, what do they have? About 3,500. I said, 3,500? This is not a big area. It's ridiculous. What you need is rules and regulations, and you need the right people to implement them. And we have the right people here, that I can tell you. Look at the border. Biden said there's nothing you can do. Kamala was the border czar. She never called one of the Border Patrol agents who are great. ICE is great. Never spoke to anybody. Never went there. But she was the border czar. And everybody said it was impossible to fix. I fixed it in 3 months. No, really. I fixed it the first week, but really fixed it over the last couple of months. And I mean, literally to a point where, as I said, 0 illegals entering our country in the last 90 days. Pretty amazing. It's time for dramatic action. We're going to do the same thing over here. It's going to be a very safe city very soon. We're not looking to take years, because a lot of people die in years. And we've got incredible people in this country, except we have to allow them to do their job. And that we will deliver like nobody's ever delivered before. I actually think it's easy. You know, if you're competent, it's easy. If you're incompetent, it's impossible. But I'm very competent. Last week, my administration surged 500 federal agents into the district, including from the FBI, ATF, DEA, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Secret Service, and the Department of Homeland Security. You know, a lot of nations, they don't have anything like that. They got some police, and they're rough police. They don't have DEA, ATF, FBI, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security. They got some police, but they're rough police, and they do their job. They don't have crime. We're not going to have crime either. They made dozens of arrests, and that's what starts to happen. Again, cashless bail. Watch what we do with that. Today, we're formally declaring a public safety emergency. This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was, with graffiti all over the walls. It's another part of it, by the way, because we're talking about safety, but we're also talking about beautification. We have the most beautiful, potentially, capital in the world. We always had. But people come from Iowa, they come from Indiana, they come and then they get mugged. Not going to happen. Keep coming, because by the time you get your trip set, it's going to be safe again, and it's going to be clean very quickly. We're going to replace the medians that are falling down all over the roads. We're going to replace the potholes. We're going to put a nice new coat of asphalt over the top. No, we don't have to rip the road out and spend 7 years building a new road because they cut everything. Because some designers said, well, we need a 1/4 of an inch more turn for safety reasons. No, we're going to do it right. We're going to get it done quickly. So today we're declaring public safety emergency in the District of Columbia. And Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's fantastic, is taking command of the Metropolitan Police Department as of this moment. And I'll be making the appropriate notifications to Congress and to the mayor, our new DEA administrator, who's one of the top in the country. He better be Terry. If you're not, I'm going to get rid of you so fast. Terry Cole. Terry, thanks. Very good. We just got him. Most highly recommended person. And you'll be designated as the interim federal commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. Okay? And you run them tough. They're good. You have a lot of good people. You have people that shouldn't be there. You also have people that shouldn't be there. They got in there because of woke. But you have a lot of great police. And those people are the ones that want to help you. This city will no longer be a sanctuary for illegal alien criminals. We will have full, seamless, integrated cooperation at all levels of law enforcement, and we'll deploy officers across the district with an overwhelming presence. You'll have more police, and you'll be so happy.
Good.
Because you'll be safe. When you walk down the street,
Very
you're going to see
good.
police, or you're going to see FBI agents. We're going to have a lot of agents on the street. You're going to have a lot of essentially military, and we will bring in the military if it's needed, by the way. We're going to have National Guard. But Pete Hegseth will tell you about it. We will bring in the military if needed. People say, oh, that's so terrible. He's going to bring in, it's been used many times over the years. I don't think we'll need it. I think we've got so many great people, including the people that are in the police department with proper leadership. They'll immediately begin massive enforcement operations targeting known gangs, drug dealers, and criminal networks to get them the hell off the street, maybe get them out of the country, because a lot of them came into our country illegally. They shouldn't have been allowed in. They come from Venezuela. They come from all over the world. We're going to get them the hell out. They won't be here long. But some of these people, a lot of them, are homegrown criminals. And these are bad people. These are rough people. And this is just a list of some of the people that were given to me today that were criminals removed from the DC streets this weekend. They were rough and tough, but we're rougher and tougher. Look at these people here. Nothing, you know. They're not going to be your local school teacher. Look at this guy. He has killed people numerous times. They're not going to be an asset. They will never be an asset to society. I don't care. I know we all want to say, oh, they're going to be rehabbed. It's not going to be rehabbed. I'm going to ask Doug Burgum to come up and say a couple of words because he's in charge, as you know. He's Interior, but he's in charge of the U.S. Park Police. And I've heard so many great things about the Park Police. They're proud of it. They've been there for a long time. Their families oftentimes grow into the roles. They love the country. They love this area. So, Doug, could you say a few words, please?
Doug Burgum.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the U.S. Park Police, this is the oldest federal police force in the nation. They were formed in 1791 by none other than President George Washington. They've got the awesome responsibility of protecting our nation's most sacred monuments. The National Mall, Washington Monument, Jefferson Memorial, Lincoln Memorial, Statue of Liberty, and out west, the Presidio and the Golden Gate area. These folks have tens of millions of visitors a year, the kind of people that President Trump's talking about that come from around the country and around the world to see our sacred and learn about our history and our sacred monuments. They've been doing a fantastic job, but they are so pleased, the rank and file, that President Trump is now allowing them to enforce the law. As those of you that live in the city may know, that the circles and the triangle parks that are spread throughout DC are actually federal park property. So the U.S. Park Police also have responsibility for that. These became littered with homeless camps under the Biden administration. All of you saw that. Since President Trump's executive order on March 27th, making DC safe and beautiful again, the U.S. Park Police have removed over 70 homeless camps. And President Trump also talked about beautification.
Over 70.
They're stopping and enforcing the laws against graffiti on our monuments. They've removed over 80 specific attacks against our history with graffiti on our monuments. So they continue to do a great job, whether it's in their vehicles, on foot, or on the mounted police that you see around the National Mall. And President Trump, they thank you. The rank and file is so happy to be enforcing the law again. Thank you for your leadership. And they're excited about the announcement you're making today.
Thank you. Very good. Great job you're doing. Thank you very much. Pete, could you say something about the military, if you would?
Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here. And at your direction this morning, we've mobilized the DC National Guard. It'll be operationalized by the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, through the DC Guard. You will see them flowing into the streets of Washington in the coming week. At your direction as well, sir, there are other units we are prepared to bring in. Other National Guard units, other specialized units. They will be strong, they will be tough, and they will stand with their law enforcement partners. This is nothing new for DOD. As the President noted, at the border, we've got 10,000 troops down there who've been operating in defense cooperation areas, defense zones, where there's zero illegal crossings because of troops on strikers scanning the border. We've been protecting other people's borders for 20 years. It's about time we protect our own, and we're working with ICE and CBP. In Los Angeles, we did the same thing, working with the California National Guard, working with ICE officers. ICE officers deserve to do their job and not be attacked. We will work alongside all DC police and federal law enforcement to ensure this city is safe, this city is beautiful. And as I always say about President Trump to the troops, he has their back. And my message to the National Guard and federal law enforcement in Washington is, we have your back as well. Be tough, be strong, we're right behind you. Thank you, Mr. President.
I'm going to ask Pam, because she's now, as you heard me say, she's really in charge of a lot of what we're talking about. She's done an incredible job. People are going to start to see the fruits of her labor. And Pam, maybe you could say a few words about what we're talking about here.
Sure, President.
All right, Pam Bondi.
Let me be crystal clear. Crime in D.C. is ending and ending today. We are going to use every power we have to fight criminals here. President, thank you for caring about our capital. Families come here every summer. Our museums are free. We have the National Zoo. We have the National Gallery. DC should be a place where everyone can come and feel safe. Behind me and to my side, we have some of the best career law enforcement and prosecutors in the country who are ready to take this on. As the president said, Terry Cole is going to be supervising the Metro Police Department. Gadi Serralta, our U.S. Marshal, is going to be supervising command and control, the entire operation. Our Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and I will be working with them closely, along with our great FBI Director, Kash Patel. Kash is going to talk to you in a minute about what we did in Virginia recently with Governor Youngkin. Many of you covered that, and it was tremendously successful. Not only that, our secret weapon here in D.C. is U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, one of the toughest prosecutors and a former judge, and she is going to be talking about juvenile crime, how it's out of control here, and what she's going to do to fight back. No more crime rampant in our beautiful capital. No more teenage girls beating a disabled man to death.
What?
No more of that. No more drive-bys. We're going to do everything we can. And working with the ATF Director Driscoll and Commander of the Army, we're going to all work together. That's what we all do in this room. We work together, we fight. Do not underestimate one person in this room. We're going to make DC beautiful. We're going to make DC safe again. One other thing, just at the wharf a few days ago, the area of the wharf, Terry Cole reached out to me, not even nightfall, on the weekend, where so many families and tourists go. A guy's overdosing from fentanyl on a park bench. In the middle of families around, they administer Narcan and saved his life. No more of that. The President of the United States is going to clean up D.C., and we're going to be there to help him, and we're going to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Cash, talk about Northern Virginia, if you will. Northern Virginia, we had a big success.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for your leadership, Deputy Attorney General, and the rest of our interagency partners. Mr. President, the following is what happens when you let good cops be cops, and I just want to highlight that before I get into Northern Virginia. This year alone, under President Trump's administration, we've had over 4,000 child victims identified and found. That's a 33% increase from the same time period last year. 33% increase. We've had a seizure of 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl up to this date. That is a 25% increase since the same time period last year. And just to put it in perspective, 1,500 kilograms of fentanyl is enough to kill 115 million Americans. 115 million Americans. Cops are getting after it. The FBI has arrested 19,000 people this year alone. Thanks to President Trump's administrations, that's double than where we were this time last year. And we have also arrested 1,600 people who have committed violent acts against children. 270 of them are human traffickers of children.
Ooh.
Mr. President, this is what happens when you have great leadership at the Attorney General with Pam Bondi, your administration's priority of protecting the homeland and protecting American citizens and protecting our children, and the murder rates are plummeting. We are now able to report that the murder rate is on track to be the lowest in U.S. history, in modern recorded U.S. history, thanks to this team behind me and President Trump's priorities. And how do we do it? And what are we going to bring to D.C.? Wow. What we did in Northern Virginia, thanks to Terry Cole and Governor Youngkin and the team, we stood up a task force out in my Northern Virginia field office, and we said, let's let good cops be cops, let's get them the intelligence and what they need, and let's get the red tape out of their way, and let's get DOJ partnered up with us to bring great prosecutions, and that's exactly what we did. In 1 month, we arrested 545 violent felons. 545 in the state of Virginia, thanks to Governor Youngkin's partnership. And that simplicity in law enforcement is what's coming to Washington, D.C. When you let good cops be cops, when you give them the intel they need, when you work with our Homeland Security Task Force, when you work with Terry and Gadi and I go way back to Miami, these guys are great leaders of the respective departments and law enforcement capacities. And when you have the DOJ and President Trump driving behind this mission, We are going to clean up Washington, D.C., and we're going to do it the right way, the lawful way, and we're going to make sure Washington, D.C. is safe again. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Cash. So the process begins right now. It actually started over the weekend, and we confronted a lot of very bad people. But it's going to be something that will be pretty amazing to you as you watch it. And I think most of you say it's a beautiful thing to do it right. We're going to be removing homeless encampments from all over our parks, our beautiful, beautiful parks, which now a lot of people can't walk on. They're very dirty, we got a lot of problems. But we've already started that. We're moving the encampments away, trying to take care of people. Some of those people, we don't know how they even got there. Some of those people are from different countries, different parts of the world. Nobody knows who they are. They have no idea, but they're there. We're getting rid of the people from underpasses and public spaces from all over the city. There are many places that they can go, and we're going to help them as much as you can help. But they'll not be allowed to turn our capital into a wasteland for the world to see. The Metropolitan Police Department and the federal authorities will be supported in the effort, a really big effort, the 800 DC National Guardsmen that we'll put on, and much more if necessary, much more. You remember I said, I offered 10,000 once. Remember I said to a certain person,
I do remember
person
that.
who I thought always was highly overrated, not very competent. But I said, if you need them, we'll give you 10,000 of the military or the National Guard. They turned me down.
Nope.
But if necessary, we're going to move service members directly to joining the Guardsmen. And that'll take place very rapidly, and that'll be done in conjunction with Pam and with Pete and everybody else. Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful cities anywhere in the world. And we're going to make it that. We're going to make it safe. We're going to make it smart. We're going to make it beautiful, so beautiful. Some of the buildings, we're going to add to it. You see what we've done at the White House. White House is a whole different building. I do that in my part-time because it's a natural instinct as a real estate person. I was very good at that, and I was very good at fixing things up. I like fixing things up. You see what's happening. The marble floors are being reinstalled, renovated, fixed. The whole place is becoming very beautiful. We're going to be adding a magnificent ballroom, most beautiful ballroom, I think, anywhere. We need it. I would have certainly loved to have had it today. I think we would have filled it up. A lot of you are standing outside, can't get in this room. I have never seen the room like this, which tells me that you want to talk about, I mean, this was a D.C. news conference. It tells me that you want to talk about crime in D.C. and beautification of D.C., but I'm going to put that, that's easy. And I think, frankly, fixing the crime with the pros, fixing the crime is easy, too. A person who I've known for a long time, and she's been incredible. She was a fantastic, one of the best ever district attorneys in New York. She was in Westchester, and she became a judge, very successful judge. And then she went into showbiz because she was such a good DA and such a good judge, tough judge, but fair, always fair. Nobody ever complained about that, but she was tough. And because of that and her reputation, she went into showbiz. So a lot of people don't, they think of Janine as showbiz. Actually, showbiz was not her thing. It was, and she did great. She was on, along with a couple of other of my friends, on the #1 show. And she did great, but this is what she loves doing. This is really her baby. What she's going to do is going to be incredible. And I'd like to speak for just a few seconds on what she has in mind, what she wants to do. We're going to be appointing some judges. We have some open spots, and we're going to take people, because the judges are letting killers out. They just say, go, that's okay, don't worry about it. So we're putting some, Pam recommended, Todd recommended, some judges that are great. Janine recommended. Janine's given me 3 great candidates already. We have about 10 open spots, and we could probably create some more. We need them. Janine, would you say a few words, please?
Judge Janine, here she is.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Madam Attorney General, and to all my partners here. We all want the same thing. We all want a safe city. We want a safe capital. We want to be able to bring our families here. We want to be able to come and enjoy the history that makes this place great. And unfortunately, we are not in that position right now. And Mr. President, I want to thank you for taking the step that we need right now to make criminals understand that they are not going to get away with it anymore. And I'm not going to stand here and go over and over the cases. But what I can tell you is this. I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun. I convict someone of shooting another person with an illegal gun on a public bus in the chest, intent to kill. I convict him. And you know what the judge gives him? Probation. Says you should go to college. We need to go after the DC Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this concept of, no cash bail. We need to recognize that the people who matter are the law-abiding citizens, and it starts today. But it's not going to end today, because the president is going to do everything we need to do to make sure that these emboldened criminals understand we see you, we're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you. And my final note is this. These kids understand that the jurisdiction is through the State Attorney General, Brian Schwab. I did a poster of the young man from Doge who was beaten bloody with a severe concussion, a broken nose.
Big balls.
And then I did a poster of what happens to those kids, because I can't arrest them, I can't prosecute them. They go to family court and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts. Enough. It changes today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Great job. Thank you. If I could, I just signed some executive orders. I'd like to have Will please come up and we'll let the people know what we signed. Do you want to put them down?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
A short while ago in the Oval Office, President Trump signed two crucial executive actions to deal with the emergency crime conditions we currently face in the District of Columbia. The first of these was an executive order, as President Trump said before, invoking his powers under Section 40 of the Home Rule Act to take federal control of the DC Metropolitan Police Department. Along with that executive order, President Trump signed the statutorily required notification letters to Mayor Bowser and to the relevant House and Senate committee leaders. The second major executive action that President Trump signed was a presidential memorandum directing the Secretary of Defense to utilize the National Guard to address the conditions we see on our streets here in D.C. It also authorized the Secretary of Defense to work with state governors to utilize their National Guard units if necessary as well. These are bold, decisive steps intended to combat the out-of-control crime conditions we've seen on D.C.'s streets for far too long, and I, for one, am deeply proud to be part of an administration that's finally coming to terms with these issues, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you.
All right.
So, just to conclude, Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, most beautiful places anywhere in the world. It was years ago. We had one problem that was a pretty big problem. The radical left got out of control and they started trying to rip down statues. And I said, let's go pass a law real fast. We're going to do it real fast. But we were blocked by the Democrats who do not want safety. Nobody gets it. I don't get it. They don't get it because they can't get votes. I don't know how they can win an election with this, but they don't want safety. And I found an old statute, very old, early 1900s, that said if you so much as touch or even think about destroying a statue or a monument in Washington, D.C., you go to jail for 10 years with no probation, no anything. It was slightly different than we have today. Today we have cashless bail. Today you get jailed 10 years. No curtailed sentence, 10 years. And we took it out. Nobody used it. It was never used because, it's harsh. And you remember they started to rip down the statue of Abraham Lincoln. I said, that's a tough one to rip down. He was pretty good, Pam. I think he was pretty good. When the ropes started going around Abraham Lincoln to pull him down, Andrew Jackson, others, and they were heading to the Jefferson Memorial, Thomas Jefferson. They're going to do a big number there. I said, it's time. And I signed that statute immediately. We had it updated. We made it use the same language, all passed by Congress. And I announced it's 10 years in jail, no probation, no anything, 10 years, no curtail sentence if you so much as touch a statue in Washington, D.C. And
10 years.
It was an amazing sight, beautiful sight. Everybody just left. The ropes were hanging around Andrew Jackson, and there were 2 ropes around Abraham Lincoln. They left the rope, but everybody just left. And that was the last problem we ever had. You know, that was the last problem that we ever had with the statues. They were going wild, and somebody came to me and said, sir, in 1910, I don't want to give you an exact because you'll say, Donald Trump gave us wrong dates around like early on. You know, if I'm slightly off, they make you sound a little bad. So I won't put myself in that position. I won't put you in that position because I think everybody agrees with what we're doing today. But when I signed that thing, it was like a miracle. Everybody left. They were gone. They were starting to march down. They started the march toward Thomas Jefferson. And I figured he was always going to be safe. But they found something with him, and they found something with Abraham Lincoln. And even in the name George Washington in California, numerous places changed the name of George Washington High School and various other places. They took George Washington's name. This was a sick, woke culture that I think we've largely ended. And a lot of those people that were woke are now turning out to be the opposite. I won't go so far as to say MAGA. It's a very special category. But they've gotten out of that. But we have people that love this country, and they love this really beautiful capital. It is. I flew over it the other day, and I said, what a beautiful place. But if there's crime all over the streets, when you get there, it doesn't look so beautiful. But we're going to make it beautiful again. We're going to fix it with crime, and we're going to also, as we're doing that, we're going to start doing things that we know how to do, that I know how to do better than anybody, I guess, because of my experience from previous life. But not only are we stopping the crime, we're going to clean up the trash and the graffiti and the grime and the dirt and the broken marble panels and all of the things they've done to hurt this city. And we're going to restore the city back to the gleaming capital that everybody wants it to be. It's going to be something very special. All of these people are really tough. Could I shake your hand, Gaddy, please? You're going to be so important here. You're going to be that guy. I hope I don't have to fire him in 2 weeks because he's too soft. I don't think he's too soft. If I do, I will, though. Is it okay? If you're soft, weak, and pathetic, like so many people, I will fire you so fast. You're not going to have to worry about that. No, I think you're going to do a fantastic job. And everybody in this room, they may not express it, but they all want that to happen. You know, they want to be safe, and they have families too. So it's an honor to have such a large group. I've done this for years now, hard to believe. I've never seen this room so packed. In fact, I'm sure it's a violation of every fire code. But we'll let you stay anyway. You're taking a chance. And with that, we'll say, maybe if you could, oh, wow. We could be here all day long. If we could keep the first questions, perhaps, to this subject, and then we'll go on to a few others.
All right.
Please.
Mr. President, thank you so much. Can you talk about how personal of an issue this is? You talked about flying over the Washington Monument and seeing the pride of what D.C. is, and do you believe that the status of the city, the cleanliness, the way that crime is low, is a direct reflection on how the country is run?
Yeah, I do. I think the Capitol, look, everyone comes here. They're all coming. All the leaders, they're all wanting to come. and I say it, I've said it again, but I'm really just quoting other leaders from NATO, from the Middle East, King of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. I was over there. We brought back $5.1 trillion of investment into our country. But a month and a half ago, I was at NATO. We had a great thing. They agreed to put up 5% instead of 2%. 2% they didn't pay, 5% is already paid. We had a great meeting, and they all said the same thing. They said our country was dead. They thought our country was gone. 1 year ago, they said your country was dead. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We do. We have the hottest country in the world right now. The tariffs have helped. It's given us not only the money, it's billions, trillions of dollars of money, but it gives us great power over enemies. We solved 5 wars with Pakistan and India. We just solved one. Azerbaijan and, as you know, and Armenia. A war was raging for 37 years. And the 2 leaders got up and they said, we never thought this would be solved. Russia tried to solve it. They all tried to solve it. It was a very tough situation, but we got it done and got it done. And I said to the 2 men, I said, are you guys friends? And they had a hard time. You know, they've been killing each other for 37 years, right? One was there 5 years, one was there for 22 years. He said, my whole life I've been fighting this war, and you got it solved. But we did many of those. We did in the Congo and Rwanda. That's been going on for 30 years. 8 to 9 million people killed that they know of, but it was raging, and we got that solved. We got a lot of them done. It's a great honor. But you want to have, when they come, the leaders come to our country to sign documents that the war is over or whatever, or for other reasons. They come for trade. And you want them to come through so beautifully. You ride down those roads, everything should be perfect. You shouldn't have medians falling down into the roadway. Median, you know, the metal things that are always, somebody had a great lobbyist, because I've never seen them look good. I've been looking at those things with the little, right? They're always broken and bad, but here they're really bad. And we're going to either put new or fix it. And it's not expensive. It's not really expensive. And we're going to fix our roads a little bit. We're going to clean up our sidewalks. You have countries where every Saturday the people go out and they wash their sidewalks in front of their stores or their houses. They scrub their sidewalks. So we aren't quite at that level yet, I don't think. Gaddy, we're not quite there yet, but maybe we will. They go out and they scrub. I think it's so beautiful to hear that and to see those stories. But we're going to make it clean. But just to finish with your question, it's a very, very strong reflection of our country. And when they see a bad city, you know, my father always used to tell me, I had a wonderful father, very smart, and he used to say, son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in, because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also. Same thing with the Capitol. If our Capitol's dirty, our whole country is dirty, and they don't respect us. So it's a very good question, actually.
Mr. President, sorry. Question for you on the specific issue. Do you expect more cities to follow DC's path if this goes through? So the idea is that Chicago, LA, San Francisco, would they expect similar action to what we've seen in DC? And the other question, sir, there's reporting that the administration is going to reclassify marijuana. Would that send mixed messages that if marijuana is okay, some drugs are okay, but we're trying to clean up crime? How do they go hand in hand?
We're only looking at that. That's early, but you know, somebody reported it, which is fine. We're looking at it. Some people like it, some people hate it. Some people hate the whole concept of marijuana because if it does bad for the children, it does bad for people that are older than children. But we're looking at reclassification, and we'll make a determination over the next, I would say, over the next few weeks. And that determination hopefully will be the right one. It's a very complicated subject, the subject of marijuana. I've heard great things having to do with medical, and I've had bad things having to do with just about everything else. But medical and for pain and various things, I've heard some pretty good things, but for other things, I've heard some pretty bad things. The other part of your question, I mean, we're just going to see what happens with it all. We're going to have a tremendous success in what we're doing. Other cities are hopefully watching this. They're all watching, just like everyone's watching here. They're all watching, and maybe they'll clean up, and maybe they'll self-do this and get rid of the cashless bail thing and all of the things that caused the problem. I mean, if you go back, this whole thing with cashless bail is a disaster. So many problems came that we never had before. So they're watching us today, and if they don't learn their lesson, if they haven't studied us properly, because we're going to be very successful. I have zero doubt about that. It's going to be. It's a question of will it be really fast, like the border. You know, everyone said, they used to say, Biden used to say, I need legislation. You didn't need. I didn't get any legislation. I called up our people, and we did a great job. Tom Homan was great. As you know, our secretary did a great job. They did a great job. There's no games. They didn't play games. And we're going to have the same thing here. But then I'm going to look at New York in a little while. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's see. It's going to go pretty quickly. And if we need to, we're going to do the same thing in Chicago, which is a disaster. We have a mayor there who's totally incompetent. He's an incompetent man. And we have an incompetent governor there. Pritzker's an incompetent. His family threw him out of the business, and he ran for governor. And now I understand he wants to be president. But I noticed he lost a little weight, so maybe he has a chance. You know, you never know what happens. But Pritzker's a gross incompetent guy.
You can't be a fat president.
Thrown out of the family business.
Nope.
But when I look at Chicago and I look at L.A., if we didn't go to L.A. 3 months ago, L.A. would be burning like the part that didn't burn. If he would have allowed the water to come down, which I told him about in my first term, I said, you're going to have problems. Let it come down. We actually sent in our military to have the water come down into L.A. They still didn't want it to come down after the fires. But that was it. We have it coming down. But hopefully L.A. is watching. That mayor also. The city's burning. They lost like 25,000 homes. I went there the day after the fire. You were there. And I saw people standing in front of a burned down home. It was, their homes were incinerated. They weren't like, even the steel was literally, it was all warped and literally disintegrated because of the winds and the flame and the whole thing. It was like a blowtorch. They were standing on this beautiful day, maybe a couple of days after. We gave it a little time because what they had suffered. Almost 25,000 homes. And you see what's happening now. They didn't give their permits. I went to a town hall meeting. I said, we're going to get you the federal permits, which are much harder. Almost immediately. Lee Zeldin is a star. He did an incredible job. They have all their federal permits. They don't have their city permits. And the mayor said to me, we think we could have them in 2 years. I was walking down the street, and I met with firemen and police. And I was saying hello to many people that were standing in front of their homes with yellow tape. You can't go in. You can't go onto the lot. And those people wanted to start rebuilding their homes then and there. And the mayor said, we should be able to get them the permits within 2 years. I said, that's a shame. 2 years? Are you kidding? I'm going to get them the federal permit like almost immediately. 2 years. And she drew it back. Well, maybe 1 year. The place was booing her out of the place. They don't have their permits to build their homes. And now they're talking about putting, this is among the most beautiful areas was in the country. Now they're talking about putting low-income housing there. Can you believe this? I love low-income housing. I made money with low-income housing. I built low-income housing. I know more about low-income housing and luxury housing. I know about everything real estate. They want to replace some of those homes with low-income housing. They haven't gotten their permits yet. We've gotten all the federal permits, which are much tougher to get, and it was done almost immediately through Lee Zeldin and Federal Environmental. And I watched the other day, those people are angry. And now, you know, they had tremendous, they loved that area. They loved the whole big area, different places, but they loved it. It was all luxury stuff and beautiful stuff. And some wasn't that luxury, but the level of love for that neighborhood, their neighborhoods, was incredible. And you know what? I watch people on television, they want to go, they want to leave. They've lost their spirit, they've lost their heart, because the mayor's incompetent. And Gavin Newsom is incompetent. He's got a good line of bullshit, but that's about it. He's incompetent. And you have Los Angeles is, you know, it's amazing. You know, I called, the first thing I did, I got the Olympics to go there. I was the one that got it. And by a rare thing that happened, I'll be the president. I was very upset because I got the Olympics there and I said I won't be president when it comes, but bad things happened and illegal things happened, really illegal things happened. Now it turns out one good thing was I'm going to be the president for the Olympics for 2050, for 250, which is going to be fantastic, and also for the World Cup. So we have a lot of good things, and I hope 250 is going to be the 250th anniversary is going to be the best. But when I looked at those people, and I saw last night on television that they still don't have their permits, it's a disgrace what's happened in Los Angeles.
Yeah, thank you. The China tariff deadline is tonight, but do you plan to extend that?
We'll see what happens. China's been, we've been dealing very nicely with China, as you probably have heard. They have tremendous tariffs that they're paying to the United States of America. And we'll see what happens. They've been dealing quite nicely. The relationship is very good with President Xi and myself.
You mentioned your upcoming meeting with President Putin. Can
Yeah.
you tell us what you hope to get out of that and whether you'll consider inviting President Zelensky to join?
So you have to understand, this is a war that should have never happened. This is a war that wouldn't have happened if I were president. Would have never happened. It was the apple of his eye. I got along very well with President Putin. But if you look, under President Bush, they took a lot of territory. Under President Obama, they took a lot of territory. Under Biden, they essentially took the whole thing. You know, it's just a question of time. Under Trump, you know what they took? Nothing. Nothing. I was the one that said, you can't build your pipeline. That was half built. I came in, I stopped the pipeline. It's called Nord Stream 2. Nobody knows that, you know. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2. You might have not even heard it. Biggest pipeline in the world. I stopped it. I was not a friend of Russia, but I got along well with Putin. It's always good to get along with other countries if possible, but that doesn't mean you roll over like Biden did. Biden came in and he immediately approved the pipeline. I couldn't believe it. Then they say Trump wasn't tough on Russia. I wasn't tough. I was the toughest. Putin said, if you're not tough, I would hate like hell to see you visit. I stopped the biggest economic development job, the biggest job that Russia had ever built. I stopped it. It was dead. And this low IQ president came in and he let them build a pipeline and supply oil and gas all over Europe, you know. So this is really a feel-out meeting a little bit. And President Putin invited me
It's a feel-out meeting.
Get involved. He wants to get involved. I believe he wants to get it over with. Now, I've said that a few times, and I've been disappointed because I'd have like a great call with him, and then missiles would be lobbed into Kiev or some other place, and you'd have 60 people laying on a road dying. I said, that's cold. That's cold. But it's a violent war. 5,000 to 7,000 people a week are dying. And you know, there's nobody from here. They're all Russian and Ukrainian people, and some people from the cities, much smaller number, but still, those missiles do damage and they kill a lot of people, but mostly soldiers. And they're young soldiers, although in the case of Ukraine, they're getting much older. They're drafting 60-year-olds now. It's a terrible thing to witness, and I think I have an obligation. Look, this is Joe Biden's war. This is not my war. I made a deal with NATO a month ago. You covered it very accurately, actually. We don't pay anything anymore. You know, we're not paying anything. They are buying things from us, and NATO is paying us. I got it raised from 2% of GDP to 5%. And they're paying us for everything that we send. We're not paying. But Biden approved $350 billion. Europe has spent $100 billion. The money that's been spent and the death is incredible. It's the worst thing that's happened, by far the worst that's happened since World War II. So I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin. And I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war. You got to end it. And he wasn't going to mess with me. This war would have never happened. You know, we had a discussion about it one time, and we never had that discussion again. Would have never happened. And when the election was rigged, and then Biden took office, which was barely took office, the auto pen took office, bad things started happening. Bad things, stupid things were said. And it ended up in a war. And you know, and I don't believe this will happen anymore because I have that pretty well covered. This could end up in a third world war. This could have been a third world war. I don't think that's going to happen now.
Very easily could
I
have
thought
been.
it was very respectful that the president of Russia is coming to our country as opposed to us going to his country or even a third-party place. But I think we'll have constructive conversations. Then after that meeting, immediately, maybe as I'm flying out, maybe as I'm leaving the room, I'll be calling the European leaders who I get along with very well. And, I have a great relationship, I think, with all of them. And I get along with Zelensky, but, I disagree with what he's done. Very, very severely disagree. This is a war that should have never happened, wouldn't have happened. But I'll be speaking to Zelensky. The next meeting will be with Zelensky and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin and me. I'll be there if they need. But I want to have a meeting set up between the two leaders. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap because there'll be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia and through conversations with everybody.
That's
to
big.
the good, for the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff. Also, some bad stuff for both. So there's good and there's bad. But it's very complex because you have lines that are very uneven.
Land swapping.
There'll be some swapping. There'll be some changes in land. And the word that they will use is, they make changes. We're going to change the lines, the battle lines. Russia's occupied a big portion of Ukraine. They've occupied some very prime territory. We're going to try and get some of that territory back for Ukraine. But they've taken some very prime territory. They've taken largely ocean. In real estate, we call it oceanfront property. That's always the most valuable property. If you're in a lake, a river, or an ocean, it's always the best property. Well, Ukraine, a lot of people don't know that Ukraine was largely 1,000 miles of ocean. That's gone. Other than one small area, Odessa, it's a small area. There's just a little bit of water left. So I'm going to go and see the parameters. Now, I may leave and say, good luck. And that'll be the end. I may say this is not going to be settled. I mean, there are those that believe that Putin wanted all of Ukraine. I happen to be one of them, by the way. I think if it weren't for me, he would not be even talking to anybody else right now. But I'm going to meet with him. We're going to see what the parameters are. I'm then going to call up President Zelensky and the European leaders. Right after the meeting, yeah. And I'm going to tell them what kind of a deal. I'm not going to make a deal. It's not up to me to make a deal. I think a deal should be made for both. I think Russia has to get back into building their country. It's a massive country. I think they have 11 time zones, if you can believe it. It's a massive, it's by far, from the standpoint of land, it's by far the largest. They have tremendous potential in Russia to do well. They're not doing well. Their economy is not doing well right now because it's been very well disturbed by this. It doesn't help when the President of the United States tells their largest or second largest oil buyer that we're putting a 50% tariff on you if you buy oil from Russia. That's a big blow
on India.
And then they say, gee, he wasn't so tough. Nobody else would have done that. And I haven't stopped there. I mean, look, I was all set to do things far bigger than that, but I got a call that they'd like to meet, and I'm going to see what they want to meet about. I'd like to see a ceasefire. I'd like to see the best deal that could be made for both parties. It takes two to tango, right? So ultimately, I'll have a meeting next week. I had a great relationship with him, considering the fact that, I was not nice to him because of the pipeline. I ended the pipeline. I also gave the javelins. Do you ever hear of a javelin? Javelin is called a tank buster. They say that Obama gave them sheets and I gave them javelins. If it weren't for me, all those tanks that were destroyed at the first days of the war because the tanks got stuck in the mud, some commander made a better. They would have been in Kiev in 4 hours going down the highway. But a Russian general made a brilliant decision to go through the farmland instead. And they just had torrential rains, and the rains were so bad, and it was mud, and those tanks got stuck in the mud. I don't know who that general is, but knowing Vladimir, he's probably not around any longer because all those tanks were stuck in the mud, and they went along with the javelins. I gave them the javelins. You know that, right? I gave them javelins. They gave them sheets. But I'm going to I'm going to meet with President Putin, and we're going to see what he has in mind.
Get this
And
man
if
a
it's
cup
a
of
fair
water.
deal, I'll reveal it to the European Union leaders and to the NATO leaders, and also to President Zelensky. I think out of respect, I'll call him first, and then I'll call them after. And I may say, lots of luck, keep fighting, or I may say we can make a deal. I will tell you this, I've seen a poll coming out of Ukraine. 88% of the people would like to see a deal made. And if you go back 3 years, everybody was gung-ho for war. You know, everybody's gung-ho for war until
People
you
are
have
done
it.
with it.
It's an amazing thing. I had it with a couple of countries where I couldn't get a deal done with one particular country. And I just couldn't. The guy's great. He's a friend of mine. Great. Good leader. Tough as hell. I couldn't get the deal done. And then he went into war for a short period of time. You know where I'm talking about. First term. And it was nasty. Guys being killed all over the place. And he went through 1 week of war, and I was able to get the deal done. He said, this is nasty. Yes, please.
Yeah, just to follow up on what you were saying there. First of all, Volodymyr Zelensky is not invited on Friday?
He wasn't a part of it. I would say he could go, but he's gone to a lot of meetings. You know, he's been there for 3.5 years. Nothing happened.
And what is the definition?
I mean, do you want somebody that's been doing this for 3.5 years? What's the definition of a good deal? I'll tell you after I hear what the deal is. Because there could be many definitions. You know, you're talking about a very large and complex situation. Now, I tell you, the war that I just settled with Azerbaijan and with, as you know, and Armenia was almost as complex as this one, having to do with routes,
successful
trade.
meeting on Friday with Vladimir Putin.
Well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be
How will
made.
you know that?
Because that's what I do. I make deals.
Mr. President.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask you two questions, one about China, one about Russia, if I could. On China, your administration agreed to send the most advanced or advanced NVIDIA and AMD chips.
No, obsolete. No.
Obsolete chip. Well, and then 15% of the
You
profits
mean the
come back.
20s? No. This is an old chip that China already has. And I deal with Jensen, who's a great guy, and NVIDIA. The chip that we're talking about, the H20, it's an old chip. China already has it in a different form, different name, but they have it. Or they have a combination of two will make up for it, and even then some. Now Jensen Jensen's a very brilliant guy, and Jensen also has a new chip, the Blackwell. Do you know what the Blackwell is? The Blackwell is super duper advanced. I wouldn't make a deal with that, although it's possible I'd make a deal, a somewhat enhanced in a negative way Blackwell. In other words, take 30% to 50% off of it. But that's the latest and the greatest in the world. Nobody has it. They won't have it for 5 years. But the H20 is obsolete. You know, it's one of those things, but it still has a market. So I said, listen, I want 20% if I'm going to approve this for you, for the country, for our country, for the U.S. I don't want it myself. You know, every time I say like 747, I want, yeah, for the Air Force. So I just wanted, so when I say I want 20, I want for the country. I only care about the country. I don't care about myself. And he said, would you make it 15? So we negotiated a little deal. So he's selling a essentially old chip that Huawei has a similar chip, a chip that does the same thing. And I said, good, if I'm going to give it to you, because they have a, they have a stopper, what we call a stopper, not allowed to do it. It's really known as a restrictive covenant. And I said, if I'm going to do that, I want you to pay us as a country something, because I'm giving you a release. I released them only from the H20. Now, on the Blackwell, I think he's coming to see me again about that. But that will be a unenhanced version of the big one. Like, I don't know if you know it, we will sometimes sell fighter jets to a country, and we'll give them 20% less than we have. Do you know what I mean, right? That's the same.
So on Russia, do you see a time, Mr. President, when there could be normal trade between the U.S. and Russia? Should your meeting go well, should there be peace?
I do, yeah. Russia has a very valuable piece of land. If Vladimir Putin would go toward business instead of toward war, you know, it's a warring nation. That's what they do. They fight a lot of wars. A friend of mine said Russia's tough because they just keep on fighting. They beat Hitler, so did we. And they beat Napoleon. You know, they've been doing this for a long time. I asked a question to a very, very smart man that some people like and some people don't like. Viktor Orban, right? From Hungary, the head of Hungary. And he's in that same area and knows the two countries very well. I said, this was before Biden didn't do anything to get us out of it. He could have gotten us out of that. It would have never happened. I said, so can Russia be beaten by Ukraine? He looked at me like, what a stupid question.
Yeah, no.
He said, Russia's a massive country, and they win their country, and they win their life through wars. They fight wars. That's what they do. He said, China beats you with trade. Russia beats you with war. That was a very interesting statement. China's not beating us with trade, not when I'm in charge. But they were beating Biden with trade, but they never beat us with trade. Don't forget, China had to pay $400 billion worth of tariffs when I was last time. That was last time. And if we didn't have COVID, all of this stuff we would be loaded. We're finding hundreds of billions of dollars of cash is pouring into our country now because of tariffs. And all we're doing is we're doing what they do to us. It's so beautiful to see it. They found last month, as you saw, $25 billion of excess cash flow. They're saying, where did it come from? I said, I'll tell you where it came from. It came from a place called tariffs, and we're doing very well. We're really doing well. But I expect to have a meeting with Putin that I think it'll be good, but it might be bad. And I'm here for one reason, to get rid of a war that somebody else started. Should have never happened. And if I could end it, great. Complex war, a lot of bad blood, But Zelensky's been there for 3.5 years. So if you put him in a room, now I will say this, ultimately I'm going to put the two of them in a room. I'll be there or I won't be there. And I think it'll get solved. Yeah, please be.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Excuse me, I'm going to suggest, because do you have any other questions on DC? Because I don't want them to be. Wait. These are incredible people. I don't want them to be standing up here on subjects. Does anybody have a question of them? And then you guys can leave. Okay, a question, Brian, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right.
And by the way, this is only on DC, and then they're going to leave because it's unfair to have them stand up here all day long.
I agree.
Brian.
I've got two questions for you. First, about DC. This is personal for me as well. Last year, I was robbed on the streets by one of these teenage thugs. Had a gun.
Thugs.
Got away with it. Let's talk about the effort that between law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges, because it's a recycling belt. Like, these kids go, they don't fear the police. They know it. If you talk about how we've got to get these judges and put these kids behind bars, right. Adult crimes deserve adult penalties. And my second question, I'll after you answer that, please.
Do you want me to answer it?
Whoever wants to take it.
Okay. It's real. Do you want me to answer it? Go ahead. Here's the problem. Assuming that they're 17 years, older than 17 years old, I can get the case. If they're under 18 years of age, I can only get the case if it's murder, rob one, rape, or even if they shoot a gun but don't kill you, I can't get it. So the law has to be changed. As the president said, cashless bail. That has to be changed. All right, then even assuming I get the case, I get jurisdiction, I get a conviction, the DC Council has given the judges the ability to give probation on shootings. And so then it's up to them. all of these things, the Youth Rehabilitation Incarceration Reduction Act, and now they want to seal records. So if we work hard, we get a conviction, they want to wipe it out. So that needs all to be changed.
Okay, Mr. Question.
Pam, would you answer that also?
Yeah, and just back to that topic. Let's be clear, though. We're going to charge them, and we're going to track every single thing they do throughout every step of the court process and report back to you and let all of you know what's happening to them. Because the people who are prosecuting them, the judges who are trying them, they also need to be held accountable.
Mr. President, you also made a comment. You made a comment in your walk here. This is the most people we've ever seen in this briefing.
I've never seen
ever, right?
I've never seen any. Where's Caroline? Where's my superstar? Caroline. Is Caroline in the back? Where's Caroline? Come here, Caroline. Come here, Caroline. Come here. Is she doing a good job, by the way? Come here, Caroline. Is this the largest crowd that you've ever seen?
This is definitely the most packed briefing, and I think all of you would agree. I think it's why we need to build a ballroom.
Mr. President, I have a better idea.
All right, Brian, go ahead.
My question is this. You're building the big, beautiful ballroom.
Yeah.
Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room, updated technology, more seats?
I don't want to do that. I don't want you to be comfortable. So no, I don't want to make life comfortable. So look. Let's just do this. Let's do this. It's going to be a big thing. We're going to Russia. That's going to be a big deal. What happens, happens. I'll let you know what happens. You'll be the first to know. I'll be calling the European leaders. I'm going with totally. I mean, we have a lot of talks. They're great people. They're great leaders, actually, and they want to get back. Honestly, as one of them said, I've OD'd on trying to settle Ukraine. They've OD'd, meaning they've overdosed on the settlement of Ukraine. Not a nice expression, but boy, is it accurate. They're tired of it. They want to get back to spending money on their countries. You know, Biden gave them $350 billion. Europe gave $100 billion. It should be much more than that. Shouldn't have been that kind of, they should have had equalization, but they didn't. But you know what? Still a lot of money. They want to get back to building their own countries. They really want it resolved. My relationship with the European leaders, as you saw, is extremely good. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Wait. And we're going to try. I'll be in touch with them. I have 5 of them call me. You think it's easy? There are a lot of European leaders, but they rely on me. Very much rely on me. If it wasn't for me, this thing would never get solved until the last person breathing is dead.
Would you talk to them before?
Mr. President.
Yeah, I did. I'm talking to them right now. So I'm talking to the European leaders. I'll be talking to President Zelensky. I'm going to get everybody's ideas. I go into that thing fully loaded right up there, and we're going to see what happens. Now, I think one of 2 things is going to happen. It's going to be a good meeting, and we'll go a step further. We'll get it done. I'd like to see a ceasefire very, very quickly. Very quick. I'd like to see it immediately, but I'd like to see it very quickly. And we're going to be dealing with the European leaders, and we're going to be dealing with President Zelensky, and hopefully we're going to have a great success. As far as this, what we did today, and I think you were here for D.C. more so than even Russia, because Russia will be, we have a couple of days to go, but the Russia is going to be very interesting. But to me, what is very exciting, and we're going to take back our capital. We're going to make it beautiful again, but we're going to make it, more importantly, safe again. It's going to be so safe. It's going to be a model. And then we'll look at other cities also. But other cities are studying what we're doing. And you have some capable people in other cities. They can do it too. But we have a great group of professionals. We're going to have a safe, beautiful capital, and it's going to happen very quickly. Thank you all. Thank you all very much.
All right. There it is.
The Epstein decision today, Mr. President.
How long will the takeover of DC police last?
Goodbye.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll have another briefing.
We'll see the National
Goodbye.
Guard on their streets.
All of them.
All right. Wow. That was a good one. That's the big news of the day. Pretty much Trump is federalizing DC. He's going to flood it with FBI agents, National Guardsmen. He is taking federal control of the Washington, D.C. police force. He's pretty much relieving the mayor of D.C., who is this incompetent woman. Her name is Mayor Muriel Bowser. She's been the mayor of D.C. for the last 10 years, 10 and a half years, almost 11 years. And every single year under her leadership, the city has just gotten worse and more downtrodden and more degenerate and more violent. There's more drug addiction and homelessness, all these bad things. Now, does anybody happen to live in a city that has become, over the last decade or more, a little bit downtrodden, degenerate, homeless problems, gang violence? Does anybody live in this type of environment? My home city is Portland, Oregon, the legendary, the infamous Portland, Oregon, and I have watched over the last 10 years specifically. Portland wasn't always as bad as it is now. It wasn't always that bad. It was always weird and it was always liberal, but it wasn't dangerous or violent, right? And it wasn't always full of a bunch of drug-addicted homeless people. In the last 10 years, it really has become, everything you've heard about it actually is true. Now, the reason why this stuff happens is obviously a lack of harsh, firm leadership. In fact, there's something that I think a lot of people don't like to talk about or don't acknowledge, but there is, what can I call this? There's not even a term for it. I'm going to make up a term right now. You can call it criminal migration, where if you are somebody that is a criminal, if you are inclined to engage in criminal behavior, these people are willing to travel to new cities, to new places all across the country where they know that they can engage in their criminal behavior in a safe way, meaning they will not be held accountable, criminally accountable for their behavior. So over the last 10 years, you have had people that have traveled from all across the country into places like Los Angeles, into, like, you're having people from Pennsylvania travel over to Los Angeles or travel over to Portland or go to Pittsburgh, or you're having people travel, relocate, criminal people, criminal delinquents. They are relocating from places like Florida or Idaho or Tennessee, whatever, places that are much harder. Texas, more harsh. They take their criminality more seriously. They actually punish the criminals. You're having criminals that are relocating to places where they know they're not going to get in trouble. And so you have what we're going to call it criminal migration. Especially, it's a big deal with people that are addicted to hard drugs. You know, if you are addicted to heroin or methamphetamine or fentanyl or whatever, you know, it's much easier to relocate to Portland, Oregon, where these drugs have been decriminalized, than it is to just stop doing fentanyl or heroin. So these cities have been flooded with people from all over the country that are engaging in this behavior. And so now, like, in places like Portland and Seattle and San Francisco and Los Angeles and Eugene, Salem, Oregon, all up and down the I-5 corridor, up and down the West Coast, where these drugs have been decriminalized, you just have people doing these drugs in broad daylight on the side of the road. I was in Portland last summer, busy summer, sunny day, beautiful day. And I went downtown to go visit the bookstore. I was going to go pick up some books at Powell's Bookstore. If anybody is from Portland, if you know what Powell's Books is. And as I was walking across the road with my family, I had my kids. There was somebody walking across the sidewalk, and they had a heroin needle in their arm, walking across the sidewalk. It was like 2 p.m. on a Saturday, beautiful sunny Saturday. They were injecting heroin as they were walking across the sidewalk, surrounded by dozens or hundreds of people. It was a busy downtown Portland. And it's like, you know, if you are that brazen with your drug addiction or your drug abuse, that means that they know they're not going to get in trouble or be held accountable or get any type of, you know, misdemeanor or felony. It just doesn't happen. It's total free for all. So, and once again, a lot of these people have relocated from elsewhere in the country to cities like this because they know they can get away with it. Another story, I was in Salem, driving through. Salem's the capital of Oregon. It's also a very downtrodden city. Go imagine that. And I was stopped at a red light in downtown Salem, and I had there was like a group of homeless people They were walking across the road. I was at this red light, and as they were walking across the road in front of my car and also behind my car, I was like surrounded, just like a flash flood of homeless drug addicts. They were like banging on my windows. I guess they thought it was funny. They were like banging on my windows and banging on the hood of my car, and it's like, what are you guys? It was like 6 of them. I don't know. It was like a big group of them just walking across the road, banging on my car. It's like, okay, this is, come on. And so, you know, the other component here is what really enables this behavior. You know, a lot of criminals, criminal delinquent type of people, they will push the envelope as far as they think they can. And so, you know, a lot of the, really fundamentally, the big reason why these people behave the way they do is because they know they can get away with it. The second they know that they will be punished, they will be punished, they will be held accountable, they might go to prison, etc., they stop behaving this way because they don't want to go to jail. They don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to be punished. The reason why a lot of them behave this way in the first place is because they know that they will not be punished. They know that they will not be held accountable. So really all you have to do, listen, there's a reason why in the Middle Ages they would just start cutting people's heads off because, you know, they realized all we have to do is cut one murderer's head. Okay, so we have a murderer. This guy murdered a family where the year is 1553. You're in Europe and you have a murderer. We caught him. He killed an entire family. Well, you know, you come to realize all you have to do is cut 1 or 2 people's heads off, and then that acts as a big disincentivizing factor, and then that actually stops all the other would-be potential murderers. All you have to do is lay down the law seriously, harshly, severely 1 or 2 times, and that sends a message out in society. Oh, whoa, if I behave in a terrible delinquent way, I might have my head cut off. Okay, I'm going to start behaving good now. I'm going to start behaving well now because I don't want to have my head cut off. So you don't really have to cut off that many people's heads, so to speak, figuratively. You just have to do it a couple times before people get the message and they say, okay, I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna stop committing crime. Okay, I'm gonna stop killing people. I'm gonna stop doing drugs on the side of the road. And I know that might sound a little bit harsh, but you know what's actually even more harsh than that? You know what's more harsh than harshly punishing criminals is allowing criminals to brutalize society, is allowing criminals to, inject heroin on elementary school playgrounds and leave their hypodermic needles all over the playground. That's a problem we have up here in Oregon. Does that sound fun? Imagine you send your kid to public school and your kid is out there playing on the playground and they step on a hypodermic needle that some drug addict was injecting heroin with. That's the problem we have up here. Imagine you send your kid to school and they get abducted as they're walking to school or as they're walking to the bus stop by an illegal alien. That's the problem we have up here. Murder rates are through the roof. Gang violence is through. All of these things are through the roof. All you have to do is lay down the law just a little bit, just a couple of times, and the criminals get the message. They learn real quick that they're not going to get away with it anymore. And so I love, of course, it is worthwhile to fix Washington, D.C. However, let's be honest here. Most Americans don't really live in Washington, D.C. Most Americans kind of maybe don't really give a shit about Washington, D.C. I care about my town. I want my town to be good. I want my state to be good. People kind of care about their own geographic area. So yeah, we got to clean up D.C. That's great. What did Donald Trump say, though? Donald Trump said he's going to, cleaning up D.C. is really just the starting point. The term he used today, I think you can look at what he's doing in D.C. now as kind of the experiment. It's the testing ground. He said he's declaring a public safety emergency. That's the terminology, very explicit terminology. This is a public safety emergency in Washington, D.C. He's going to see if it works, if his approach works, of cleaning up the streets. I have a feeling that it will. And then what did he say? He said we might move on and start declaring public safety emergencies all across the country. We might have kind of a similar approach all across the country. He mentioned Chicago. He mentioned Philadelphia, some of these other towns that have real big problems. We might have public safety emergencies declared in some of these other cities, which I think is a good thing. I think that is a good thing. As far as I'm concerned, we're talking about deploying the National Guard. As far as I am concerned, let me know if you agree. Deploying the U.S. military on American soil domestically to clean up our own American domestic problems, This is how the military should be used first and foremost. The U.S. military should be used to solve problems domestically. Deploying the National Guard to the streets of Chicago to clean up all of the gangs is a way more justifiable deployment of the U.S. military than sending them over to Iraq or Afghanistan or something, right? Or wherever else, God knows where else. This is a totally justifiable use of the U.S. military. This is how they should be used. This is what we should do. We should clean up our country. Our service members should be used to clean up our own country rather than causing problems or trying to clean up other problems in other people's countries halfway across the world in some desert that none of us really even care about, right? So, good, do that. Yes, National Guard. What is the purpose of the National Guard? To, what? Guard the nation. Our nation has been invaded by tens of millions of illegal aliens, by young gangbanger hoodlums in Chicago and Philadelphia and DC and all over the country. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, do that. Let's do that. Also, you know, I think there is a certain there is a certain optics component to having a clean functioning DC. You know, I think it is moralizing. I do think the capital of our nation should be clean and civil and respectable and orderly. Washington, D.C., just out of principle, it's like an optics thing, like I said, it should not be a free-for-all, violent, drug-infested, homeless-infested ghetto. It really shouldn't. You know, back in the day, it's been a little while, this country used to kind of hold itself to a standard. We used to require that people were respectful in society, that people were polite and civil, that they were respectful. If you left your house, you weren't wearing your freaking pajamas. You weren't wearing your dirty, grease-stained pajamas with your Crocs. If you left your house, you were a respectful person in society. You know, you weren't smelling bad. You weren't looking bad. Society was well kept. We didn't have garbage and trash on the sidewalk. We didn't have graffiti on every single building. We didn't have homeless people living in tents. We had a civil, respectful society. It is important that we bring that back. We need to bring that back. That is very important. Okay? We need to stop the decay, this degenerative decay of our society. We're slowly slipping into third worldism. Have you noticed America starting to look like a Brazilian favela, where everybody is just like ill-kempt and ill-mannered and disrespectful and loud, and it's just like, come on. I go hiking on the hiking trails, and people are smoking weed on the hiking trails. Everywhere I go smells like weed, and people are talking loudly into their Bluetooth headphones. I was at a restaurant the other day, and there was a guy. It was an old white guy. This was an old white guy. He was watching a football game or some like football YouTube video on his iPhone, on his smartphone, in the restaurant, and he was blasting the volume on his speakers in the restaurant. And it's like, dude, I'm trying to sit here and enjoy a meal in the restaurant, and you are blasting your damn YouTube video on your iPhone speaker in the middle of the restaurant. Dude, we need to bring back some decorum. We need to bring back some decorum. Oh, no, weed. Listen, I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I don't really care who I piss off. If this pisses off anybody in the audience, marijuana has been recreationally legal in the area that I'm from for about 10 years now. Everywhere smells like weed, and I'm sick of it. The neighborhoods smell like weed. The grocery store smells like weed. Everywhere. I see people smoking weed while driving around town once a day, every day. I see people smoking weed while driving on a daily basis. If I go to a restaurant, people are sitting next to me. They smell like weed. The hiking trails smell like weed. People are smoking weed everywhere. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. It pisses me off. I'm sick of it. It smells terrible. And by the way, the smell argument, people say, oh, well, who cares if things smell bad? Sorry, listen, you can call me a Karen. I don't care. I care about society smelling. I don't want everywhere to smell like weed at all times. And by the way, in the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, we had huge anti-cigarette campaigns on the basis of cigarette smoke smells bad. We don't want to be polluting everybody's oxygen with cigarette smoke. We had 40 years of anti-cigarette campaigns because they smell bad and because people didn't want to be exposed to cigarette smell. And you know what? I'm totally for it. I believe in that. Weed smells bad. I don't want everywhere I go to smell like weed. So You're a piece of shit. You're going to get it soon. What? Because I don't want everywhere to smell like weed? Because I don't want you smoking weed everywhere in society at all times? If that bothers you, then I guess you got to go piss off, buddy. Listen, if you want to smoke weed in your house, I don't really care, whatever. But listen, this marijuana thing, take it from me. I've been up here in the Pacific Northwest for 10 years. It's been recreationally legal for 10 years. The marijuana thing has gotten out of control. People are driving high. People are smoking in public everywhere. I can't go hiking on a public trail without everywhere smelling like weed. It's just weed everywhere. You can't escape. You cannot escape it. I'm trying to walk with my kids everywhere. It smells like weed. It's out of control. If you're somebody that wants to smoke weed, I don't really care. Do it, whatever. More power to you, dude. It doesn't bother me, I guess. But it's seriously, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I've had enough. So you know what? Going forward, I am dedicating my entire life to campaigning against weed. I am now dedicating my being, every ounce of my being, to being I am the biggest anti-weed influencer in the world. I hate weed. I hate weed. I hate marijuana. I hate it. And I'm dedicating every fiber of my being to getting rid of weed. Total weed death. No, okay, I'm joking around, guys. I want to say thank you all very much for tuning in. This was a super special early broadcast talking about Donald Trump's press conference here today. I think we covered the news. I want to say thank you all very much. Thank you very much for tuning in here on Rumble. And here on YouTube, everybody make sure to follow, make sure to subscribe. I am gonna go take care of some work today. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it, folks. Thank you very much. Everybody have a good afternoon. I will probably have a video here on YouTube at some point for you guys later today. Thank you guys.